Okay, good morning all and welcome to the monthly ordinary meeting of Council for the month of November, today the 23rd of November. I'd like to open the meeting and welcome councillors, our senior staff as well as members of the gallery. Thank you for joining us today. Do we have any requests for leave of absence? I don't believe so. So we'll move through to item 3, and it's a pleasure to welcome Pastor Glenn Vonhoff join us today to provide the welcoming prayers. Thank you, Pastor Glenn.
Well, it's good to be here again, representing the Christian churches of the South Burnett. So good morning, Mayor Otto, councillors and all the council staff. As you know, I usually give some philosophy or whatever, and I'm going to do that again today. You've probably never heard of a man called Robert Brault, but he was a freelance writer for 40 odd years in the United States, and he writes some words of wisdom. He hasn't got an agenda or a personal philosophy, but I read them and I was amused by them and inspired by them. So I just want to share a couple with you today. The first ones are perhaps to do with councillors particularly, because it's not always easy being a councillor and having different opinions. So the first one is this: life becomes easier when you learn to accept an apology you never got. We've all had things happen to us, said to us, that we never got an apology for. And I know that personally, having been in business and in life. But there was somebody said to me one day, if somebody does something wrong to you, don't nurse it, don't rehearse it, just reverse it. I thought that's pretty good advice. His next one is, never hold a grudge, especially one whose year of origin can only be determined by radioactive dating. I thought that's pretty fair, because some of them go back a long way. And the interesting thing is that the only person who's being hurt by it is yourself, because the person who said it or done it has gone on and couldn't care less. Lastly, but not least, in this line of thought, if you aren't honour bound to do anything else, you aren't honour bound to get even either. So remember that. Going into something else, you know, the 10 Commandments, there's all sorts of commandments there, and one of them is about children obeying their parents. And he makes this comment about the 10 Commandments. Conspicuously absent from the 10 Commandments is any obligation of parents to a child. We must suppose that God felt it unnecessary to command by law what he had ensured by love. And I think if we loved everybody, we wouldn't need to be told what to do, would we? Because we'd do the right thing anyhow. I love this one for you guys. Think about this. What you discover in a democracy is that it is difficult to build a house when each nail has an opinion. I like that one. I thought that's a good one for the council. Now, you know that you all have opinions, but interestingly, the house still gets built, doesn't it? Which is good. Okay, couple for the end. What you say of another, apply the test of kindness, necessity and truth, and let nothing pass your lips without a 2/3 majority. That's fair enough. And for all the parents here, what makes child raising difficult is that each day you have to start with the child you have raised so far. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that's good. For my reading today, I've chosen one from Colossians 3:15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. Let's pray. Father, we are so grateful to be able to serve our fellow man. May the Mayor, the councillors, and all who work for the South Burnett Regional Council do so with humility, with joy, and a desire to fulfil the role assigned to them, while striving to their utmost to do a good job and to work peacefully with those around them, while making sure the needs and desires of the citizens are met. As those elected to the South Bennett Regional Council and those who work for the council serve the people of this area, we ask that you guide them so that they speak respectfully and with humility to one another and to with all whom they come into contact. Thank you for the abilities that you have given them to effectively carry out their roles. Grant each one love, grace, strength, and encouragement, and the knowledge needed to approach each situation the best way possible, that they might see your presence in the work they do. We pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Take care and God bless each one of you.
Thank you, Pastor Glenn, and Glenn, to you also, take care and God bless. Thank you for being with us today. Councillor Duff, recognition of our traditional owners. Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge country and the land where we meet this morning, the Waka Waka land, and acknowledge the elders both past, present and emerging. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, do we have any matters of conflict of interest to declare to the meeting? Okay, if you do throughout the course of the meeting, feel free to let us know. We'll move on then to item 7.1, being the minutes of the previous meeting. It can be found at page 6 on the agenda, where the recommendation is that the minutes of the meeting held on the 26th of October 2022 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, seconded Councillor Potter. Speakers to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. We'll move on to 8.1, business outstanding table for ordinary council meeting at 44 on the agenda. Thank you, Mr CEO, for providing such and for recommending that the business outstanding table for the ordinary council meeting be received for information. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, thank you. Second, Councillor Jones. Speakers. Councillor Potter.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, on page 50, the resolution from the 24th of 6/22, resolution 2022/597, that was the resolution that we passed with regards to looking for funding for, I'm just, sorry, Mayor, I'm just trying to look for it in my computer. But with regards to that particular one, I'm just wondering where we're at. I know there are a few things already that are listed in there that we've done, and it'd be really good to have an update sort of on that list, because I know we've taken money from Kingaroy to do Tipperary Flats, and we've taken, and I know a few other things are already on the agenda with regards to, I think, the Lions Park completion, that's sort of underway as well, and Tingura drainage, we've sort of put that on the agenda as well. So, you know, and the 9 car park shelters at BP Dam. So it'd be really good to get an update on that and where everything is on that particular one. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, General Manager Meehan.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. So a number of those projects have been added to the PPT or Council's budget process. So I'll just confirm that with GMO May, but my understanding last time I went through that with Cody, that a lot of those projects had been added to the latest round that was given for the LRCI program that we gave to Council in the workshop. But if Council was happy, we would just confirm that all those projects are either being funded or they're on the available project list for Council through those programs.
Thank you, General Manager. General Manager O'May.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so we can provide an updated list because, as Councillor Potter said, there are a few that have been progressed through other means. We also do need to have a discussion around the capital funding, because from this resolution, depending on how far, like scoping and doing community consultation, we haven't got any budget or resources that are dedicated to doing this. So we could probably update the list, and as GME has said, we've included some in those discussions. But there are projects there that we will not be able to go out and do physical community consultation, a proper process and detailed scoping without a budget allocation. So I think that's probably going to, as GME said, part of those LRCI and budget discussions, we can refine the list.
Thank you, General Manager. Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just wanted to know what's happening, and I've asked this every single time, I know, but with the Windra Piggery, I just want to know, with regards to the road upgrade, when are we able to let the people who are concerned about that road, the submitters, know that there is something going to happen with that, that Kratzman's Gully and the road on the Mergen Gayndah Road, that intersection that was meant to be upgraded as that piggery moved forward? Just wanting to know what's happened with that one.
Thank you, General Manager.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so so that work has, as Councillor Duffer said, should have commenced. It certainly hasn't. We are in enforcement actions with that process. So basically, yeah, we do have to follow up with the enforcement action, and we have essentially dragged our feet on that and not pressed as hard as we should have. But I think we did get direction from council that council wanted us to proceed to enforcement at as fast as we can on that one.
Thank you, General Manager. Anything further, Councillor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just wanting to know with regards to the Cloyna Hall resolution that we spend that money on the drainage. I'm concerned about if we don't do it sooner rather than later, that it's actually causing more issues with the hall. And I'm just wondering what the timelines are with that drainage at the Cloyna Hall.
Yeah, through Ms. Mayor. Yeah, so I believe the manager of parks has actually got an update in her in next week's standing committee report. So she'll provide a report on, because there's I think on that in next week. I just haven't got it in front of me.
Thank you. Just look forward to seeing that report. The other one is just on the feral pig management. There's a whole host of recommendations here from the council about what we're doing with that. And I'm just wondering, including establishing a working group to develop a biosecurity plan. I'm just wondering how fast that's progressing, and because I think it's a real issue with the feral pigs, and hoping that we're moving forward fairly quickly with that one.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. So there has been some work on this, but as far as moving forward quickly, I would have to say no. We have been recruiting for the coordinator position since the middle of the year. We've appointed someone a week ago who started a week ago. We have had an officer sort of filling in part-time to do that. So, yeah, certainly haven't progressed as quickly as we'd like. We did a couple of those things have come back. We did bring back a biosecurity management plan for feral pigs, I think in August, which the guys are working to. There is a discussion next week at the standing committee on a couple of items around here, the pig bounties and those things. So yeah, there'll be a further report, but so a number of those things are still work in progress. As far as the committee meeting, the committee, we haven't progressed that one.
Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just on the feral pig management, I would like to just add that on a community consultation on Monday, the 5th of December, we have several gentlemen coming in to present a case to us with the aerial shooting of that, both in the air and on the ground. So there'll be 3 people there to give us an update on that, which will be very interesting, and I encourage everybody to be here when that's tabled to us. It will be 2:15 on Monday, the 5th of December. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Potter.
Yep, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Just with regards to 32 Walter Road, page 46, it said that there was a report coming back to today's council meeting, and I'm just wondering, this might have to be taken on notice through you, Mr. Mayor, to GMO May. I'm just sort of wondering where we're at with regards to 32 Walter Road. We did the community consultation a while ago on that block of land, so thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so we had with those land divestment, there's a whole number of them. We had planned to bring a workshop back to council, and which I think got cancelled twice, and is now scheduled for the 12th of December. So yeah, it's basically to go through that workshop where we've got all of our parcels of land. So yeah, that's why it hasn't made the meeting, because we still haven't had that workshop with council.
Thank you, General Manager. Further speakers? General Manager Jarvis, if I could, on page 48, in relation to the disposal of the mowing equipment. Thanks for the update on the 40th of November. But there are 2 mowers completed, ready to go, and the last one is getting looked over now and getting a general tidy up. Any further updates on that? How's that progressing?
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. That is the latest update. I was only speaking to the manager of Plant and Fleet yesterday, getting the last update on it. We have 2 that are ready to go because they have been replaced and they have been delivered. The third one, they're just waiting on parts and they're expecting the parts to arrive next week. So then there will be 3 out of the original 6. The other 3 just, we couldn't donate them because of the condition that they were in. So those 3 then will go to the committee to be the community committee to be the expressions of interest will be looked at, and then the council or whoever is on the committee, which I think is most the councillors will identify which mowers go where. So definitely by the end of next week, 3 will be available.
Thank you, General Manager. Just moving forward to page 50, if I could just hold the floor for a few moments. Kingaroy Consultative Group meeting, recruitment progress report from the hospital will be provided for the December Standing Committee meeting. The matter is in relation to a crisis in GP services across our region, and just wanting to confirm that that matter, Mr CEO, I guess, will be discussed and that we're on track to bring something forward to that December meeting, or perhaps if that will go back to next year. Any updates on that? Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, literally, again, without having the report in front of me, but there will be a report to I think it's the 7th. It would go to that meeting, the Standing Committee, before the December Ordinary.
Yeah, thank you, Mr CEO. Just staying on page 50, resolution there in relation to community engagement around the list of projects there, Councillor Potter's resolution. Mr CEO, process moving forward now to go to community engagement and consultation on that?
No, that's all right. Thank you. Everyone's enthusiastic. As I'm probably going to reiterate what the 2 general managers said, that it's been engaged as part of budget discussions as well as providing another update. Several projects, again, Tingura Drainage and Prosser and Wieners, for example, have both been dealt with by petition and council resolution, so they've already been dealt with. So those ones are going through as per the council resolutions. And the petitions dropped off this because we've got correspondence drafted. As if it hasn't been sent, it would be very well. Yeah, it's pretty much finalised to go back to the petitioners. So the others would be a discussion as far as the budget process, and anything that's not sitting in that LRCI list or the budget process list. Yeah, we can certainly come back and have an engagement, and it would then just follow the engagement strategy, whether we would pick them up as part of the community meetings, the community get-togethers we're planning to have in the new year.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Just to move forward, I've got a couple of others, if you could bear with me, Council. The Rail Trail Development, Rail Trail Users Association resolution on page 61. Last update was that Council were going to meet with the rail trail users at some stage, I think late October. Mr CEO, do we have an update on how that's progressing? Yeah, thank you, Mr CEO.
Sorry, Mayor, it's probably actually, I have, which was, I'm just looking for which. Oh, yep, yeah, that's the 132. Yeah, anyway, huge amount of work since, because we also have the previous resolution that is behind that had originally been tagged for September. One of the staff and I met with the Rail Trail User Association pretty close to a month ago. I'm hoping to actually get to their meeting again on the 1st of December. We've engaged with Gympie And we've engaged with TMR. We've got, there's also another project that has come via that group, via a community group, where they're working on it's not exactly that same group, but a trail linked from Crow's Nest through Maidenwell down into South Burnett and then going back. So that's a Toowoomba Regional Council. We have swapped strategic documents. They had some documents that we didn't have, and we have documents that they didn't have. So I've swapped strategic plans and documents with them. We we'll work out. So we're waiting on the Gympie piece of the puzzle as far as renaming, but we've actually come to terms with actually very cooperatively with TMR about a possible process going forward, but it will depend a little bit on Gympie. And also then without getting into funding announcements, but also we're engaging with Gympie on how and who does the section from Mergen to Gameri. So yeah, quite a significant amount of work's been done with that, Mayor, since then, but the next meeting that I'm having with them is on 1st December. So we have attended their last one as well.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. And my final matter was Resolution 202 at 64. At the top of 64, the report be brought to the December committee meeting in relation to the matters associated with Pound Street and the approaches from the Kingaroy Memorandum RSL sub-branch. Really just wanting to confirm that we're on track to bring that to the December committee meeting. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Yep, Mayor, there's several aspects, and Council by resolution has also started to pull all those bits together. There's long answer short, yes. very, very much yes. Again, a lot of background work's being into it, so there will be a suggested process forward to deal with all of the different components. But yeah, we definitely will be.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. That's it for me. We'll go to Councillor Erkins. I think you were next. Yeah, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a little on the mowers. I believe that the intention of council, when it was moved that we would donate those mowers, I wasn't aware that we were going to bring them up to a certain standard. I thought we were just going to donate them, and it seems that we have brought them up to a standard, which I don't really know whether that was the intention to be done. But just in future, maybe if we're going to be donating something to community groups, that we are maybe a little more clear that how we're donating it, and it's up to the community group then to bring them up to a standard. Because if we're going to bring them up to that standard, we possibly could have kept them and used them ourselves if we're going to be upgrading them or fixing them up. Just maybe we weren't clear in our intentions, but I think they have spent, they were getting them ready to give out, where my impression was we were just going to give them and then the groups brought them up to standard themselves.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. I really appreciate the feedback. And hence, there's several machines. Again, I'm just going to reiterate what General Manager said. There's several machines that we won't dispose of as far as gifting them to a group, because they aren't. The other ones, for our own peace of mind and risk management, they have to be of a standard that we're comfortable with, that they'd be given. We wouldn't be able to, if not, we would dispose of them through another mechanism. But if we're giving them to a community group, we wouldn't be giving them something that hasn't been assessed and is at a certain level. It just is. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to draw your attention to page 50, 51, and community and Cooper's Gap viewing platform is mentioned there. I'd just like to bring to chambers that I attended an AGL meeting last Thursday out at the wind farm, where there was some fairly robust discussion in relation to the viewing platform. There's been quite some concern with the landowners there, and just a quick summary in relation to that viewing platform. They have other ideas. Because of biosecurity rules and regulations now, they're very concerned in relation to that viewing platform, where its position is going to join 3 neighbouring properties which aren't overly excited about it. And a suggestion was made that perhaps a area, pull-off area along the road would be more beneficial than an actual viewing area that is in the entrance to 3 properties. So that's the conversation being started out there with community in relation to that. So no doubt there'll be a fair bit more conversation had around that.
Thank you, councillor. Further speakers? Okay, let's go to the vote. Those in favour? Yes, carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. CEO. We'll move on to 10.1. That's at 70 on the agenda. Recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council notes Councillor Shoemaker's invitation to be a member of the Powerlink Burnett Stakeholder Committee and endorses her appointment as council's representative. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, seconded Councillor Jones. Speakers, Councillor Duff. Further speakers? Shall we go to the vote? Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 10.2, adoption of the South Bennett Regional Council Conduct of Council and Committee Meetings Policy, Statutory 017 at 71. First of all, thank you, Mr. CEO, to you and your corporate governance team for bringing this forward in such a timely manner and providing a recommendation that the South Bennett Regional Council Conduct of Council and Committee Meetings Policy, Statutory 017, be adopted as presented. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. Seconder, Councillor Erkins. Thank you. Speakers, Councillor Potter. No. Further speakers? Okay, we'll just have it take a moment. If you could, Mr. CEO, I think that would be a really good idea. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. So, councillors, I'll be as timely as I possibly can. Certainly from the presentation, so this went through two rounds, and then standing committee. From the standing committee sections, I'll jump straight to pages 84 and 85. The standing committee feedback, questions without notice. We didn't, because standing committee adopted it as amended with these 2 sections. I felt comfortable we'd answered the question section at the meeting, but if there is any dissent to that, please let me know if we've missed the mark. Speaking to motions at the standing committees, that was the area of debate predominantly. So what we've done, 342.1 is a new clause, and it's follows the actual flow of how the standing committees tend to work, and it's during a committee meeting. The chair may allow discussion on agenda item prior to the mover of the motion. The point is taken to have the same effect as the standing orders and will allow free and full debate on the topic. Once a motion has been moved, the following procedure 342.2 to 42.4, and then it tends to mimic the ordinary meeting where there's a speaker for, a speaker against. People can have a second crack for 2 minutes, and then right a reply gets no more than 5 if we need to get to that point. And then during a committee meeting, chair will have determined cease debate and exhaust all points, so it gives the chair still that. So it just hopefully tidies up that standing committee process as far as any discussion. The rest of it, we've looked to bring everything so that all the timeframes, be it 5 days or everything was pretty much, and it's a marked up copy, was, it should be a marked up copy, 5 business, oh, no, it's just the changes from the standing committee, my apologies. So we've gone with the other ones that went through there. But with the 5 business days, so we've adopted a consistent time frame for it all the way through. So, and then went through, my copy of it was scribbled all over. So wherever there was an issue that had come up in a meeting at some point, we'd marked it up at that point. And so we've just tried to iron out any of the issues that have been discussed over the period of time. So it is a fairly comprehensive old document now as far as but if you want to talk about it as a set of bylaws or a guide, it's pretty much all there. So Mayor, I'm happy to take questions on it, but without labouring points.
Thank you, Mr. CEO, and thank you for the work you've done in relation specifically to item 3.42, where I know there was significant discussion at the last meeting, and I certainly, from my perspective, am very pleased with the way you've presented that to provide for greater scope of discussion and debate at committee meetings as against the more structured process of an ordinary meeting. So, councillors, does anyone have any questions of our CEO? Is anyone not comfortable with any aspects of the proposed policy, wishing to speak against? If not, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Moving on to item 10.3, Traffic Management Preferred Supplier Agreement at 101. The report provides a recommendation that South Bennett Regional Council, based on the evaluation panel's assessment of all offers, appoint both South Bennett Security and Traffic Control and Traffic Management People, TMP, as preferred suppliers for the supply and delivery of traffic control services for a 24-month period. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconded Councillor Duff. Speakers, Councillor Potter. Further speakers? Councillor Duff.
I just wanted to say that it's great that it's gone to a local contractor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you, Mr. Siota, you and your staff in the procurement team who've obviously done a lot of work in getting us to this point for what is a critical service in relation to our roads, roadworks across the region. So are we ready to go to the vote? Yes, those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 10.4, 2022 final management letter for South Bennett Regional Council at 110. Again, thank you to our staff for bringing this forward and providing a recommendation that the South Bennett Regional Council 2022 final management letter as attached be received and noted. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Shoemaker. Speakers, Councillor Potter. Further speakers, Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly great to receive the report and note that there's no significant issues that have been identified. Did note a summary of 3 matters that I've checked in Appendix A. It seems that we've got, consistent work in progress. It looks like the IT user access review in Tech 1. I know that's common. That's come up quite a bit in our risk and audit committee meetings, as have the tracking of grant revenue and the review of users in Tech 1. Yes. I just had a question in relation to the financial audit fee for the 21-22 financial year. Noted in the report is $152,000 exclusive of GST, an eye-watering amount of ratepayer dollars that has gone toward the audit. Just wanted to check if that's actually within budget, if that was what we'd set for the.
I'll take that on notice, Councillor, but I recall, I think we had 155 in budget, but I will take that on notice. So it was within budget, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, and that's not even the whole, as you'll see in the report there, it does say there that we also had to have, that's exclusive of GST. Then we had to have fees associated with the auditing of our grants program for our Roads to Recovery, our local roads and community, and the Drought Communities program. So that was on top of the actual audit fees. So it's a big impact on our operational budget, Councillor.
Thank you, General Manager Jarvis. And just in terms of my question was just with these internal control issues, I see action dates have been set. Tracking of grant revenues 31st of December 22, 31st of March 23 for the IT user access. And the other issue that I didn't see in the appendix was the low risk of council. It states in the report that council may not have an accurate estimate of unspent developer contributions, which is disclosed as externally restricted cash in the financial statements. I just didn't fully understand what that meant and just wanted to confirm those timeframes in the appendix have been set.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, I feel confident that we will meet those timeframes for those 2 that you just outlined, and they'll be also identifying now centralised procurement transition. So that's where we'll have the user accesses, where also you'll have financial delegations and that. So it's a huge thing for our staff, but it is part of our program, and we do have a business plan there. So I'm confident that we will meet those timeframes. The grants, yes, we have a dedicated officer there now. We're re-looking at the module there through business systems. So again, I'm confident we'll have that. As far as the restricted cash, my staff, the finance staff, will be doing a full review to identify. The auditors just wanted to know how confident we are about the developer contributions, that is what they are. So we will then go and audit and produce that back to or present that back to the auditors to say we're very confident that that is what the restricted cash, what we are presenting at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Certainly, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to commend the council team, the finance team, our CEO and our leadership team. I think this is an excellent outcome for a small council like ours. So thank you so much for all your efforts in managing our funds as best we can. Thank you.
Okay. No further speakers. Yes, thank you, Mr. CEO, to you and your staff for providing this report. It's now presented to council in accordance with the local government regulation and adopted by council. The Queensland Audit Office will then present such to Parliament, advising that there are no issues of significance to be concerned about in relation to South Burnett Regional Council. So overall, I think it would be fair to say that it's been a good outcome for council in terms of the audit report, and congratulations to everyone across the organisation who has played their part in achieving such a good outcome. Only a handful of items mentioned. They are not high-risk items, and that's significant when you consider the thousands of transactions that go through our books of account every single year, not just financial, but movement of stock and inventory and payroll and a whole range of areas. So congratulations and well done to everyone right across the organisation. Are we ready to go to the vote? Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 10.5 is the monthly financial information October 2022 report at 116, and thank you to the finance team under Manager of Finance for providing such, and recommending that the monthly financial report, including capital works and works for Queensland, as at 31 October 2022 be received and noted. Do we have a mover? Councillor Shoemaker, and a seconder? Councillor Potter. Speakers, Councillor Shoemaker.
The only note, I guess, I did find in the report, which I know we have discussed here in this chamber before, is as part of the summary, it states that council's capital expenditure program is currently sitting at $6 million in actual expenditure, which equates to approximately 15.61% of our total amended budget. And I just wanted to confirm as part of our next quarter review that we'd actually be reviewing that capital works program. Perhaps General Manager Jarvis, what's the plan there with that regard?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Councillor, for that question. The ELT discussed this yesterday as well, because we've received a lot of money for flood damage, and we're speaking to our managers as well about the delivery of the capital program, and we definitely will be revisiting it in our second quarter review to see what projects we need to maybe take out of our capital program this year to move into next year's, because a lot of it we don't have the capacity to deliver, and it definitely was on the agenda yesterday for discussion. Oh.
Yeah, by all means.
Sorry, through Mr. Mayor, we've actually tabled a report to seek council's direction on that in 11.5 as well. So we've flagged exactly that issue to hopefully, if that assists, to bring it back at the second quarter. That's the intent.
Thank you. Thank you, General Managers. Thank you, councillors. Further speakers? Shall we go to the vote? Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 10.6, Financial Assistance Grants Commission at 154. Thank you, Mr. CEO, for the work that you've done on this with your team and for providing a recommendation. that South Bennett Regional Council support the LGAQ Policy Executive in their advocacy of the resolutions adopted at the 2022 State Conference and amends the adopted budget at the second quarter review to reflect and account for a 50% early payment of the 2023-24 financial year financial assistant grant allocation. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Shoemaker. Speakers, Councillor Jones. Okay, further speakers, Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to confirm that our council has supplied feedback to the LGAQ cost shifting survey. They're doing a significant piece of research. It's the first time, I understand, in 20 years that research of this nature has been conducted.
Thanks, Councillor. Yeah, short answer, yes. We've been engaging with them. I see the CEO of LGAQ just sent out a secondary round the other day. And it is a good thing to revisit because we all talk about cost shifting, but then actually it's the facts, just the facts on the table and proving it. Yeah, so it's an excellent initiative by LGAQ, and yes, we've been talking to them.
Is it possible, just a supplementary question, Mr. Mayor, for councillors to receive a copy of that survey and the feedback we provide?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not complete yet, so but yeah, no, absolutely, by all means, yep, certainly.
Yeah, thank you. I just think that's a really critical piece of the puzzle. It's come through in all the LGAQ messaging that, you know, the reality is we are picking up the things that have been left behind. It's been fascinating to read, you know, councils are running childcare centres, maintaining connectivity, actual towers that enable connectivity in their communities. Just goes to show how they continue to fill the gaps, and I think it will be really interesting research. I'm glad to hear we're participating and look forward to reading more about the results.
Mayor, if I may, can I just list that as a question on notice, and that way it doesn't get lost, and so if remember to, no, not to remember, we will send it around, but it just tags it, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Duff.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just on that point number 2, we had budgeted, I believe, for a 75% early payment, and I'm just wanting to know what impact that has, just in just a figure of what impact that has on our budget, because yes.
Mr. CEO, you happy for me to answer as the portfolio holder? The FAGS grant, and General Manager Jarvis, watch me closely here, would you, and put that light on if I need to be corrected. So the FAGS grant, the financial assistance grants for the current year is, well, for the next year is 7.4 million, we believe, approximately, that council receives via the Grants Commission from the federal government. Now, we don't know how much of that we will receive in advance. This last year we got 75%. Next year I think we are making a best case assumption that we will get 50%. So by writing down the early payment from 75% to 50%, that would represent a 25% reduction to the reported revenue, which is $1.85 million reduction to the reported revenue. That $8.5 million will thereby result in an increase in our reported deficit. And so when we undertake the second quarter review, should council resolve to adopt that amendment to the budget, then the deficit will increase by $1.85 million as a result of that journal entry to the books of account. That will then have impact on how much we can fund in our depreciation, and we will have to then, I think it will directly relate to then what we can actually fund under our capital program. So the two are very much interrelated, because obviously our capital program, a percentage of that comes from our cash, which is from our funded depreciation pool. So it may actually reduce how much we can fund from depreciation, but that will be a matter for council as to how much we want to draw off our cash. And of course, that the balance would then come through in next year's payments, Mr. CEO, I think, as you've articulated in the past. General Manager Jarvis or Manager Anderson, do you want to add anything further, Mr. CEO? But that's my understanding, Councillor Duff. Yeah, we'll stay with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So basically, if we continue to operate on this, on the budget that we had delivered to the people, we would be losing that amount, 1.85 million in cash. Is that if we continue to operate
Yeah.
on the same budget?
Yeah, so if I can just clarify, our cash forecast, our cash reconciliation forecast would be reduced by $1.85 million, our projected cash balance at 30 June next year, if we don't receive the 75% early payment. That would be correct, Manager Anderson? Yeah. So our cash balance would be reduced, particularly if we go ahead and spend what we agreed to under our funded appreciation. And I think that's where this capital program is going to become key, isn't it, Mr. CEO, in terms of our future discussions? Yeah. Yep. General Manager O'May, thank you.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I was just probably the other point to put in this is last year we actually budgeted the 50% and we got the 75% prepayment. So last year we actually ended up with the roughly 1.8 in cash last year. So it was accounted in last year's books, and this is why it's so frustrating when they do these prepayments, because it takes the years out. So yes, you're correct, you wouldn't be able to fund the depreciation, but it's already been put into the cash last year. So yeah, it is messy.
I think the other thing too, Councillor, is that the financial discussion around the drawing on our cash because we haven't got the FAGS money may actually be academic, because it might come down to our ability to deliver our capital program anyway. Mr. CEO has been quite clear that we may not be able to deliver our previously budgeted capital program because of the unexpected amount of flood reaper work that we're going to have from the floods. We may just not have the resources to deliver the capital program anyway. So that could give us a bit of a bonus in that, at least from that point of view, we won't draw our cash this year. We may not use it till next year, in which time the money would then come through in that year. So, yeah. Anything further to that, Mr. CEO? You're comfortable with that?
Oh, no, thanks, Mayor. It's a long, complicated old arrangement that other levels of government put upon us. The cash is in the bank and it's, it'll just flow through now through the budget process. And your summary is correct. And to support that, it is something that we've advocated for other council, and repeating old ground here, is just that they need to either sort this out and get the payments in the year of origin, or change the accounting standard, and they're looking like they're not doing either. Region, as councillors would recall through the budget discussions, the reason for the 75% is so we're comparing the previous financial year with the current financial year. The deputation to the Grants Commission, they can't give any definitive answers, so it's just prudent now to do it early. If we ended up with 75% at the end of the year again, which would be problematic in a good way, but it wouldn't be a good idea, well, we'll deal with it then. But just deal with the best advice of the Grants Commission is that they think that they will get 50% early payments.
And I guess what our executive leadership team, council, are looking to do is to present to council the impact of reducing it to 50%, so that you can then consider, do you want to proceed with your capital program, or do you want to wind that back so that you don't burn, or not, so that you don't dip into your cash this year. We'll have the opportunity to do that as a result of this recommendation coming forward from the ELT. So our management staff are taking a conservative position on this, rather than assuming we'll get the 75%. If we're going to have to take some pain, let's take it early, let's disclose it, and then let's make informed decisions about what that could mean for our capital program. Before I go to Councillor Jones, and it is disappointing to see, let me say, that the former federal government and the new federal government have not, neither government, neither side of politics at the federal level, has stepped up and responded to the submissions from councils across Australia through the Australian Local Government Association to increase the FAGS grant allocation to 1% of the federal taxation revenue. I think that has been a sad day for local government to hear in the recent budget that the new federal government is not going to respond to a lot of work that's been done by local government across Australia. And if governments at the highest level are serious about delivery of services to communities, not just in rural communities, but right across Australia, then they need to step up and provide a fair share of the revenue that they get, rather than expecting us as local councils and local ratepayers to fund the vast majority of services that we provide, which, as Councillor Shoemaker has indicated, is very broad in scope. It is time this matter was addressed. Okay, I've had my say on that. I'm sure my colleagues would agree. Councillor Jones, sorry.
You're right, Mr Mayor. I just want to let everybody know that when we were in Cairns, myself, Councillor Erkins and the CEO had a good opportunity to represent our region and speak to the people that are concerned from LGAQ in regards to the fags, and we were on the front foot, and the CEO and ourselves put a very strong case about needing extra money, and obviously this fight's been going on, and when you're dealing with the federal government, it's more likely that they'll reduce funding than what they will increase at the moment, so we'll just have to see where this goes, but yeah, we're well and truly on the front foot as far as the Queensland Local Government Association, as far as filling out surveys and giving information back to LGAQ in this fight.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers? Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, Mr Mayor, just wanted to highlight, I did read further to your comments that financial assistance grants were not restored, as you said, to the 1%. Alarmingly, these untied allocated grants have dropped to 0.52%, which is down from the 0.55% as announced in the May budget. Absolutely agree, we can't give up on this. Having untied, non-competitive funding is vital for local governments so that we continue to fund the priority work that we need for our communities. So thank you for your advocacy on this. Certainly financial assistance grants are essential to our livability, and I am looking forward to the results of that cost shifting survey. I think it will clearly evidence just how much local governments are picking up the slack in terms of delivering on the needs of our communities.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers? We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr CEO, for providing that report. 11.1. Oh, yes, and to your finance team. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. We've had two items that have come up as bona fide late, well, I'll call them emergency items, but that need to be dealt with. One of them would be at 10.7, ministerial deputations on the 1st of December. And if, with the leave of the meeting, if there was a procedural resolution just to deal with 10.7, please.
Now move a procedural resolution in accordance with Mr CEO's commentary that we attend to item 10.7 as the next item on the agenda. Seconded by Councillor Potter. Thank you. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr CEO. 10.7, Council, is provided as the late agenda item and relates to ministerial deputations, whereby it is recommended that South Burnett Regional Council support the participation of the Mayor or alternative councillor delegate in the LGAQ deputation to Parliament House, Brisbane on 1 December 2022. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. Seconded, Councillor Henshin. Speakers, Councillor Potter. No. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, the the proposal is to present the water infrastructure development. Is that the final document, draft document, or what are we presenting?
Thanks, Councillor, for the question. It's the LGAQ, if I may just take a minute to give background, and I do apologise, but this has only come up. This is the initiative from LGAQ from the State Conference with the 6 conference resolutions to deal with regional transformation. So we've placed it in the report. Previously, we had indicated that we wish to meet with various ministers and the Premier about our own matters. This one sits on top of that, and it's a deputation with LGAQ, with Isaac Regional Council, Western Downs Regional Council, Banana, Central, Mount Isa and Gladstone, and Barcaldine region, from the 6 resolutions that deal with transformation economies from the coal sector, for probably an inelegant term. The water report deputation is still on the cards, and we still want to do that, but this one's on top of it as well, as far as the LGAQ resolutions.
So through you, Mayor, listening to the report, is it not, like, I don't have any issues, but is it not just an invitation to the mayors of our councillors? I just want to be clear before we, what we're what we're presenting or what we're doing.
You're correct, councillor. As LGIQ, and I've used their wording, and Mayor, and again, we could have left it blank, but without being presumptuous as who was able to attend, given the short nature of it, the invitation was issued to literally that wording, mayor or alternative delegate. So if it's just the mayor attending, well, then it's just the mayor. So it's really was put forward for council. So the recommendation's written up as the mayor would go, and then the brackets as alternative delegate if the mayor was unavailable due to any other reason. But the invitation's been issued to the 8 councils and the mayors as representatives of those councils.
So I guess my question is to you then, Mr. Mayor, are you able to attend? Otherwise, Councillor Shoemaker would probably become our nominated delegate. So are you able to attend that there as Mayor of the South Burnett?
Yes, good question. Thank you, Councillor. And I did convey to Mr. CEO yesterday that it would be my intention to attend on the basis that our expectation is other mayors will all be attending. So I'll be certainly having that locked into my diary, I would think, Mr. CEO. Yeah. Thank you. Unless something adverse happens to me in the meantime. Yeah. Okay. Further speakers? Councillor Shoemaker, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an enormously exciting opportunity. It's actually 2 years of work and advocacy through the LGAQ conferences and the many meetings and discussions I've had with a number of representatives there. The motions that we have put forward and the collective nature in which we've worked with other regional councils, such as Western Downs and Banana, who have actually met with myself and Councillor Jones here directly. Unfortunately, you were unavailable that day, Mr. Mayor. I would very much like to attend as an observer, if that was an option. I've certainly been working hard in this space for the last 2 years and built enormous number of relationships and credibility with the LGAQ, and have actually written motions and summaries and things to this regard. I'm very passionate about this for our region and would certainly like to participate as an observer.
Mr. CEO, of the LGAQ's intention.
Thanks, Mayor. I would have to ask. I just don't know. But yeah, we can certainly make that inquiry if that's where you want to go. Happy to make the inquiry.
I have actually had some discussions with some of the members working on this, and because I've built relationships with them, and my understanding is they'd be quite comfortable for me to be present, not necessarily in the meetings, but just being able to take the feedback on board and understand the discussions at hand and be part of the briefing, which I think would go to the work that I've done as the energy portfolio holder and in the space of regional development.
How would you like to deal with that, Mr. CEO?
I guess I'm proposing an amendment to the motion.
Could we do it as a second one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So then we if that works, and then we just keep them, and then we can send that through to LJQ, Mayor. But yeah, if we just get this one through first, so Mayor's the delegate, and then just put up a secondary one, basically the same wording, but observer. Yep.
So in light of my declared intention to attend, Mr. CEO has just changed the motion there to say participation of the mayor and take out alternative councillor delegate, just to go to the question that Councillor Jones raised. So Councillors Potter and Henson, are you comfortable with that being as is presented now? With that change to the motion. So further speakers to this motion? Okay, go to the vote. Those in favour, carry unanimously. Thank you all. We'll now go to Councillor Shoemaker to speak to for foreshadowed motion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to move that South Burnett Regional Council support Councillor Shoemaker as an observer in the LGAQ deputation to Parliament House on the 1st of December.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jones. Okay, speakers for the Councillor Shoemaker to speak first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I said, this is just such an exciting opportunity to see all resource councils come together, with one united shared message around the importance that local government is at the table when we talk about the transition of our regions to support a green energy future. Very passionate about this and very much appreciate the opportunity to go along, listen and learn. And I think that will very much feed into the work that I'm doing directly on the ground. Thank you.
Probably, oh yes, sorry. Well, all right, Councillor, who was first? Councillor, ladies first, Councillor Duff, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to support it. I just think that the CEO or someone needs to make contact with the group and make sure that that's okay, because it could seem a bit odd that we have that all the mayors are meeting and there's someone sitting there that isn't part of that. And perhaps then, if that was the case, the other councils would prefer to also send their portfolio holders as observers as well. So I just think that needs to be clarified.
Okay, Councillor Jones, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, look, I fully support it. That's why I second it, that Councillor Shoemaker does go down. She's done a hell of a lot of work. And I know the relationship she's been building, and I talked to a lot of people after she's spoken to them and got the information, all that sort of stuff. But the briefing that we attended the other day on a hookup was the fact that, as Councillor Shoemaker said, the 8 councils that will be affected want to go down as a joint front, and it's very critical that we do have the mayor there, because all the other mayors will be attending, and we need to make sure we've got all our ducks in a row, and we put up take advantage of what Councillor Shoemaker says is a great opportunity. I know Mayor Baker from Isaac has been in local government for a long, long time, and made point of the fact that she sees this as one of the best opportunities she's ever seen in local government to go and present to the Premier and get some benefit for our region. So I think it's critical, and I don't have any issues. But again, Councillor Duff raised, I think Mr CEO will do that. He'll go away, just confirm, but I don't have any issues with Councillor Shoemaker, if allowed, to attend as an observer. Thank you.
I would suggest, Mr. CEO, that would go without saying that we'd obviously want to get the consent of the LGAQ management before acting on this resolution. Okay, further speakers? No? Okay. Happy to go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, where are we tracking? We've still got time for another item. Let's move on then to 11.1, Kingaroy CBD smoking restrictions, community consultation at 1:55. And thank you to our staff for bringing forward the recommendation on the bottom of 155 that South Burnett Regional Council, 1, signage be installed where appropriate to reinforce current restriction under the Tobacco and Other Smoking Products Act 1998. 2, restrict to all of its structures and open spaces in the Kingaroy CBD that meet the requirements under the Tobacco and Other Smoking Products Act 1998. 3, engage with Queensland Police and Queensland Health to increase enforcement of restrictions under the Tobacco and Other Smoking Products Act 1998. 4, review the need to further develop a local law for further smoking powers in its future review of local laws. And 5, consider replacing infrastructure that encourages compliance with Queensland smoking laws and minimises impact on businesses and support people who prefer to smoke. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconded by Councillor Erkin. Speakers, Councillor Potter. Further speakers, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question about the consider. Like, what does that mean? Consider replacing? Are we actually going to have a look at the options and put a report back to a future standing committee? Or I just think that that's an unusual word for a recommendation that doesn't really have any teeth. Just wanting to get some clarification around what consider means.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I think that came out of the standing committee meeting, but we might seek your advice on that, GME, and thank you.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. So my understanding, our intent of that one was to officers would consider trying to place. It probably should be instead of replacing, it should be consider placing infrastructure in areas which encourages compliance with that. So what that means is we would walk through, and say if we walk through Mergen CBD, we would talk to yourself and some of the local businesses around if we were to put the ashtrays and those sort of things, where would we put those so that we encourage people to comply with those laws. So the example I gave in KTP, there's a couple of places around KTP where we can place smoking bins or well-placed infrastructure that supports that. And also we did talk about putting up those maps as well, with those as well, to tell people where some of that infrastructure is. So it should be considered placing the infrastructure that encourages. So if there's an opportunity for us to modify infrastructure or move infrastructure, we would do that. Our intent, I think, and our understanding coming out of that conversation was that we would look at all the CBDs within South Burnett. So our intent would be we would walk with the divisional councillor and talk to a few businesses to see how we can improve those items.
Thank you, General Manager.
Yes, Mr Mayor, happy with that.
Thank you. So in response, Kimberley has changed item 5 to say consider placing infrastructure. Councillors Potter and Erkins, any objection to the change? No, you're comfortable with that. So we'll proceed with the motion as presented. Further speakers? Councillor Jones.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I made my feelings clear on when we discussed this in the Standing Committee, and I have issues with 3 and 4 in council taking a lead. I understand, I support, and I just know that this will create problems in our community, and it's good to see, and I hope that the staff aren't going to be expected to go around and enforce that, because we can't afford to pay anyone to do that. But my conversations with police, in particular, they have far more important things than trying to lock someone up or fine them for smoking a cigarette in the CBD, is the information and feedback that I've got. The further develop a local law, we're delving into some issues, and you talk about division in communities. This will create it. In certain aspects, it'll be a difficult thing. I just have issues with that 3 and 4, and I understand fully what the Chamber is trying to achieve here and what the community, probably a major part of the community, wants, but you've got those other people out there that choose to smoke, and I would just love to see the state or someone have the guts to say ban smoking completely, but they won't, because they get too much money out of it for the governments to use and whatever they do. But it does create problems. I'm probably going to support it very, very hesitantly today, and just keep an eye on it the way it goes. But I just wanted to make my views known, that I do have serious concerns around 3 and 4 in particular. I don't have any issues with council-owned structures or anything like that, and putting signage up to try and encourage people not to smoke, and placing infrastructure around the area. But yeah, just how we enforce it, or who we're going to ask to enforce it, and local laws future. I think the Queensland Health need to make those rules up and let other people enforce them.
Councillor Erkins, thank you.
On those things, I understand what Councillor Jones is saying. However, I don't know that the money that governments get from tax on smoking really covers the number of people who are in hospital with smoking-related illnesses, and it's a lot of money to, do people with heart attacks and different things that are definitely smoking-related. I also think that there are rules already in place. They're just sort of I'm not talking about having people go and shift them on, but I think the signs will do a lot to discouraging people to smoke. And as I said before, and the last time we debated this, I think you'll find that most people now who are still smoking would like to be able to give it away. The cost of smoking alone, plus they know what it does for their health. So I think, lots of people, if they can't light that cigarette up where they are, they've got to walk away to a place. I think we're only doing things to assist them. I think people who have breathing difficulties, they don't get a say in whether someone lights a cigarette up. So I'm definitely going to be supporting it, but I also think it's a great motion, and it is for the betterment of our community.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, certainly don't disagree with either points made. I do, I do think perhaps point 4 could be removed at this point in time. I know there are other local laws that we are actually needing to review, probably that take priority. I do think at the end of the day, this is about the fact that there is currently legislation that everybody, regardless of who you are or where you live, has to abide by, and that we've had significant feedback from businesses and community members that certainly are for and against, and by no means is it about trying to divide our community. It's about trying to find a solution to a complex problem that enables, I guess, people to really enjoy street dining and to enjoy the new CBD that we've created. So I'm fully supportive of erecting the signs and putting the community information in place so that people can make decisions that abide by the legislation. I do note the point about our local laws. I think that would be a long time down the track at the moment, and would be happy to see that part of the motion be removed and considered at a later time. I do think both Queensland Police and Queensland Health do have responsibilities to the legislation that has been set, and I certainly recognise the challenges that they face in delivering their many responsibilities in our community. But I think we should, the purpose of this motion really is about engaging with them, collaborating and seeing how we can work together. So I'm quite comfortable with the way in which that sits.
Okay. Councillor Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I actually don't want to change the motion. The only thing I probably would add to it is in number 4, if you wanted to review that in 12 months. But that's the only thing I would change with that. I do not want to remove item 4 because I still think that that could be something that we as a council do later on down the track. But I would be happy to say review in 12 months.
Before we act on that, if I can say, in our 23-24 operational plan, there is the intention expressed to do a local law review. And my understanding would be, General Managers, that, Mr. CEO, that our senior executive leadership team would come forward with a recommendation as to which local laws need to be reviewed or where we may need new local laws. So from my point of view, I think I'd be happy to leave that with our senior staff to determine if they want to see this on that list. But happy to be corrected, Mr. CEO. Yeah. So I think it will come back in 12 months nonetheless as part of that process. We're comfortable with that? Yeah. Okay. You happy, Councillor Potter, with that? Good, thank you. Councillor Henson, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, a seriously curly one. The problem, and as Councillor Jones has alluded to, and I'm a non-smoker, I'll also add, and I feel that you talk about division, and it's right, the taxes on smoking and the taxes on alcohol is enormous. The laws tried some years ago to instigate curbing smoking by putting extremely graphic pictures on cigarette packets, and that didn't seem to deter the smoking fraternity out there, and it's their choice if they want to smoke or don't want to smoke. And it's a bit like if we want to try and outlaw smoking, we want to outlaw drinking in our community. It is a big health issue as there is with the smoking fraternity out there as well. You talk about division, we've seen that happen within our mandates and our laws around COVID vaccinations. This has got the potential, of course, and has been alluded to, the Queensland Police, I'd sooner them protecting our elderly and our kids and our business and our community. It's been throwing a cigarette butt on the ground now is illegal, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone charged with that offence. So yeah, the signage I think is important. Queensland Police have got enough in their Queensland Health to increase enforcement. I can appreciate that's what they all want to do, whether they can do that, and if it takes them away from another major incident, the cost to someone could be great. To develop a further local law, where do we stop with that? If you start to do that on this, we will need to do it on many other things. And replacing infrastructure, can I ask a question? replacing the infrastructure that encourage compliance with Queensland smoking laws and minimise impact on businesses and supports people who prefer to smoke, where might that go? What is the intention to replace infrastructure that encourages compliance? Can I ask that question?
Yeah, so the placement of infrastructure, General Manager, would you mind speaking to that? Thank you.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things, if I may, just address. Our intent with this is to just install signage through the CBDs that follow the current legislation of rules. So just for anyone who's considering it, we will not be introducing any new smoking restrictions in the CBDs. It is purely, we'll put up signage where you can't smoke now under the law. Our discussion, and I raised this, we'll be meeting with QPS probably next week or the week after about a range of issues. Our intent with that would be to follow up where people are smoking, where they're dining now. So there's a few people within the CBD, and there's one gentleman we watch from the KTP office. He goes to a particular establishment, he sits at that establishment's dining area, and he smokes. He can't do that legally. So our intent with that would be that we ask them to go through when they're regularly patrolling the CBD. They can go through and pick up these individuals. With Queensland Health, it'll be a case of we would just like some compliance checking, particularly with businesses, that they are complying with their smoking rules and those sort of things. So our intent is to basically input signage through the CBD where people are smoking and they shouldn't be doing that, so that they can clearly see that they shouldn't be there and they go to another place. With the placement of infrastructure, what we thought there, Councillor, is the notes that we have from the government is that where people smoke and congregate to smoke in an area that they are legally allowed to smoke, we would look to put ashtrays and stuff like that there so that they smoke. The people that do the right thing and smoke where they can, we put infrastructure that keeps it clean and tidy and allows them to have facilities that are off the street and those sort of things. There's a number of places in each of the CBDs where people will go to try and stay away from businesses and people. So we look to put infrastructure there that just keeps it clean and tidy, a bit like you would in a pub, if that makes sense. So, in speaking to, we've spoken to both the operating pubs in the last fortnight about smoking and dining and those sort of things. They're quite happy to have a conversation around where they put that infrastructure near their premises. They actually have strong views that they don't like smoking near their premises outside when they've had some issues in the past. So they're looking to work however. There needs to be something there for them to use. So we're looking to place that infrastructure that's away from their doors, but it makes a bit of sense. So just probably from my point of view, just want to reiterate to council, we're looking to take a common sense approach to not go and police too hard. We just want to put signs up and encourage people not to smoke where they are, if that makes sense. So, and there would be council does not have the power to introduce any further smoking restrictions than is what is in that legislation right now. You cannot do that, so we won't be able to do that. So, just if that clarifies, councillor.
Thank you, General Manager. And look, I think we need to go to wrap this up now. But councillors who haven't had an opportunity to speak, happy to give you one. But before we do so, so council, community and media, please be very clear here. The intent of this is to install signage so that we can inform community as to the restrictions under the state legislation. So it is about informing community as to where one can and cannot smoke. So that is the purpose of the signage, to restrict the smoking in councils, structures and open spaces in the CBD only where that is required under the legislation, to engage with the police and Queensland Health. And I think, in fairness to them, if we look at what happened during COVID, I was quite impressed with the way that our Queensland Police staff and Queensland Health staff actually took a very collaborative approach. And I think our local sergeant came out and said, we're not here to take a heavy hand with people, we're going to go around and help educate people. And I would be surprised if our Queensland Police staff don't, again, take the same approach. More of a soft hand than a hard hand with the community on this. So I think they understand what works for them in terms of educating community. The fourth item is to review the need for local law. So we are not saying here that we will develop a local law. We will simply review the need for such next financial year. And the final item is just to put infrastructure that encourages compliance. So I think what the staff are trying to do is actually to support the community, to inform, to educate, and to provide signage, and also to provide infrastructure that allows people to have a place to go, where at the moment they probably are unaware as to where they can and can't go. So I actually see this as a positive move in terms of community information and community education. I would like to applaud the staff for the work that they've done on this particular matter. But councillors who haven't an opportunity to speak, opportunity now. Councillor Duff, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I was the one at the Standing Committee who raised the fact that at a lot of local not-for-profit groups running events, they have a designated smoking area and people feel comfortable to go there. And I think that the issue is, and I'm really keen on that, that's why I asked the question about that last point, is that if we could get places where people could actually go, designated smoking areas, I think that that's so to stop people from feeling like lepers because they actually do smoke, that they actually had a place where they could feel comfortable to do it. And I'm really keen to ensure that that happens. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further, okay, so I'm going to close here. We'll go to Councillor Potter for anything to wrap up. No, let's go to the vote. Those in favour? Okay, carried unanimously. We've got no. So Councillor Henson didn't get you. So all councillors. So we've got those in favour. Yep. Councillor Shoemaker, Councillor Erkins, Duff, Jones, Potter, and Otto. Those against? Councillor Henson. Thank you. Motion carried. 6 votes to 1. I'll now move that we adjourn the meeting for morning tea. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Potter, thank you. Those in favour? Carried. We'll see everybody. Okay, I'd now like to move that we resume the meeting. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Henson, those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Council, would just like to inform you that during the break, I have conferred with the CEO of the LGAQ, who has spoken to the Minister's office. Certainly happy to have Councillor Shoemaker attend, but the Minister has advised that it is for mayors only, and there are to be no observers attend. So, unfortunately, that resolution will not be able to be enacted now. Apologies for that, but Alison called me back during the break to confirm that. Yeah. Okay, so apologies for that, but Mr. CEO, it is what it is, I suppose. We're at the hands of the mercy of the ministers involved. Okay, so let's move on to 11.2, Rogers Drive, Kingaroy at 157. Thank you to our team for bringing this forward and recommending that South Bennett Regional Council seek feedback from Rogers Drive landowners and business operators on the options for traffic within the report. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, thank you. Second, Councillor Henson. Speakers, Councillor Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, apart from this, I know we're talking about getting the feedback from the owners, but I'm just wondering whether it's possible to have maybe signs or paperwork in the shops so the customers that visit those businesses can actually have their feedback and their say as well. Or are we going to do more than just the feedback from the landowners and businesses within that area? Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Our intent with the businesses was, as officers, we would probably primarily rely on their feedback and the landowners because the configuration can affect how the businesses run. So that was our thoughts with that. But happy to be guided by council if you wanted to extend it to public feedback. But our primary report. So if we had, our thoughts was if we had a business object because of operational reasons or, configuration of their business and that sort of stuff, then that was probably our primary feedback. We would come back to council because they're the ones who are affected. So, but again, I'm open to feedback, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. Further speakers? General Manager, just in terms of expected time frame to come back with a report to a standing committee meeting, your thoughts around that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. At this stage, I think we'll aim for March, given the current short time frame. So, also mindful too, we'll probably commence public consultation in mid to late January when the staff return, and then look to probably, I think we'll need a bit of consultation with some of the property owners who are not from this area too. So we'd be looking to arrange a teams meeting, particularly with some of the larger developers, to make sure we give everyone their feedback. So,
Thank you, General Manager. Further speakers? Okay, nothing to close. Councillor Potter. If not, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 11.3, Red Tank and Nords Road RFI at 158. Again, thank you to our, thank you in this case to our Manager of Works for bringing forward this report. General Manager, where the recommendation is that South Burnett Regional Council review to submit the Red Tank and Nords Road reconstruction of essential public assets REPA applications at the earliest opportunity, that any additional work necessary to improve these roads for safety reasons as identified by on-site meetings with road users be also done as a matter of urgency. 3, Council undertake preliminary design for potential capital as part of the second quarter budget review for improvement to the vertical geometry of the culvert on Red Tank Road. And 4, consider the eligibility of floodway improvement to Nord Road as part of a REPA betterment work submission. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, secondly Councillor Henson. Speakers, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question. I'm just on the first one, the review to submit the Red Tank and Nords Road reconstruction application in REPA. When's that likely to happen?
Yeah, through Mr Mayor, just confirming that'll be done this week. So that road's been inspected and it's en route, so it'll be lodged by Red Frost hopefully this week, if not very early next week.
That's great to hear. Yes, I'm very supportive of the recommendation, and yeah, hopefully the chamber will support the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager. General Manager, just on that, item 2, should Council adopt this resolution today, the urgent work conversations with the road users, expected timeframe based on your current commitments for that, your thoughts?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. So I just had a discussion with our works coordinators last week. They actually have gone and graded the road. So they dispatched a crew there to make sure that we had access for vehicles. So our intent at this stage will be is that REPA submission is done. We'll probably review that in early December, and we'll look to have a meeting with the proponents that were here the other day, just to talk through the upgrade works and what's REPA and what's not. And our intent would be, assuming if council with 11.5 looks to review its capital program in February, we'll look for what our plan is to attack that road as part of that REPA strategy and capital works. So there has been works done there already, and the staff assure me that there is vehicle access to those properties. It's not all-weather access because it hasn't got gravel on it, and that will come back as part of that thing. So we have dealt with that road effectively as we can for the time being. So,
thanks, General Manager. So, would it be reasonable to expect that you'd have those conversations before Christmas then with those people along the road? Would that be opportunity to do that? I know some of them have been reaching out to councillors over the last couple of weeks. Would that be able to be done?
Yeah, happy to do that, Mr Mayor. We'll arrange that.
Thanks very much. Yeah, Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, through you. Yeah, look, you stole my thunder, Manager me, and that was going to say, yeah, there's been a grader there, and I've had communication with some landowners down there, and grateful that that's happened, but at the same time, in the event of some more weather events, it will go back, as all our roads in the South Burnett will go back. The Nords Road, there's an enormous amount of work to do on Nords Roads with the erosion, and can fully appreciate, as the landowners do, that that's under assessment for flood damage, and there's an enormous amount of excavation has happened to the side of the road there, as I previously tabled a month or so ago. The fence has gone in the neighbour's property, so that asks to get a fence up to the perimeter of the road just to stop stock getting onto Nords Road. That's a huge job and undertaking there to fix that erosion, but no doubt that'll be assessed in time. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. As you can see, I voted against this in the standing committee, and on item number 2, I want the expectations, if I can, have it explained to me as far as a matter of urgency, and you highlighted that a minute ago. There's been a grader out there already, and we made it very clear in our standing committee and we were lucky enough to have some of the people from out that way in the chamber on the day. And that's probably why I didn't vote for it, that words of matter of urgency. If it rained, like I said, there's a procedure to go through. I said it on the day, we go through. There's a lot of roads in our region that are as bad, if not worse, that are all waiting in line to go through the proper process and find their niche in the claim system and all that. So for me to change my mind today and support this, I would like to have clear understanding of item number 2, any additional work necessary. So if you go out and meet these people with community consultation and they kick up a stir and whatever else, I just want to know that we are not going to go and do a full restoration before we get back the information that it is going to be under flood management.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So our intent will be is that, and again, I'll probably just jump into myself to 11.5, is that our ability to do Reaper over the Christmas period is limited. So our intent would be come back to that February meeting and say, here's our plan to attack what we know. So we won't be reshedding the road. If there's work that we need to do and it rains and we need to do exactly what we've done, we've gone there and made that road safe, according to the works coordinator. And if we need to gravel patch it because it rains or we lose access or some reason, then we would, from my point of view, I'll treat it like any other road that comes across my desk, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks. Just one other one, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, the other one that concerned me was applications at the earliest opportunity with further investigation and conversations with the staff and all that. As the GM has indicated, it's getting put in next week and that is in its right position and rightful place. It hasn't jumped the queue or anything like that, so I'm happy with that. So hearing that it'll be treated like any other road, and this matter of urgency was the words that concern me. It has a potential to create havoc, but after those explanations, I will change my vote and I will support the motion today. Thank you.
Further speakers? No. Okay, we comfortable to go to the vote. Mover, Councillor Duff. Anything to close the debate? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just on that way, I mean, it's obvious that with the whole season, the way it's unfolding, that it certainly is going to continue to rain. So are we just going to wait until you've just stated that there's pieces there that have made it so it's not all weather? So you're going to wait until it actually rains and then there's going to be an issue and then race out there and try and put gravel? I'm just thinking that even if it wasn't just anybody's road, like not necessarily North's Road, but any road, you would have to try and, I would have think that, we need to mitigate that before rather than after. And that's my right of reply. Thank you. I'll just, if you can answer the question and we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Okay, well, that closes the debate. Let's go.
Sorry,
yes.
I was wanting an answer to the question.
You do want an answer? Okay,
Yes.
sorry. My apologies, General Manager.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor, through you, Mr. Mayor. So for us to make that road all weather, we would have to do a full resheet through the road, like any unsealed road. So our thoughts at the moment is that we've got a number of roads that are missing gravel throughout the network that require works, and there's quite a few that are in that list. Our thoughts is that we'll continue to monitor that road and do works as we need. So if it rains, what we will do as part of that December meeting is that if there is a major transport to come out of that road, I'd be quite happy, and we have spoken to other landowners, if there's a concern that we're going to shift 800 cattle out of there, if they give us a little bit of prior notice, it's probably worth us just doing an inspection of that road until council can deal with that resheeting or whatever council chooses to do there. Last thing we want to do is see people lose access. Mindful though that it could rain again tonight. We're expecting rain from Sunday onwards next week. There will be issues on that road, but same as probably some of the other roads that are missing gravel until we go through and do a full resheet on that network. So our plan would be just to monitor it for the moment, but we'll have that chat with those with those owners and encourage them to get in contact with us earlier if they are moving stuff as well to make sure we can assist.
Thank you, General Manager. Let's go to the vote. Those in favour? Okay, carried unanimously. Thank you all. 11.4 is the Cumbia Streetscape Project update at 160. Thank you to our works team for bringing forward the recommendation that the council note the report as presented. Do we have a mover? Councillor Henson, seconded Councillor Jones. Speakers, Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, look, I go through Cumbria quite regularly, of course, and I've seen the guys there, what they're doing. Just bring it to Chamber's attention that with all the community consultations we had out there, I had a phone call stating that council was going to rip the entire footpaths up. I'll make it clear in this chamber that at no stage in any of our community consultations did we suggest that we were ripping all the footpaths up. And correct me if I'm wrong, Manager Mann, but there was a reasonably irate person of the public community out there that doesn't in fact live in Cumbria but owns property there made the comment about that. So it's disappointing when we go and have so many community consultations as we did, and you, Mr Mayor, and our other councillors that were there at those, some of that feedback comes back. So I just want to confer with Chambers and certainly you, Mr Manager Mann, in relation to Cumbria, that the dates, the work to date that has started there, and it's starting and it looks good. And with weather conditions and what's been happening out there, and with talking to the community, they're happy with what's progressing out there, but to have that feedback back, under no circumstances did we ever suggest that the footpath was being ripped up. There was talk about continuing the footpath in a certain area in a later, perhaps capital project, perhaps for the 23-24 financial year. But great work going on in Cumbria and look forward to it. How we get it to happen in the time frame with the works that's going on in the entire South Burnett and availability of stuff, but there's a Christmas carnival coming up there, and the work that is happening out there they're excited about and glad to see it progressing. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager Mann.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. So just a couple of comments. So the purpose of our report was to give Council a further update since Kevin was here last time for the Infrastructure Standing Committee. Well, we're just advising their council is that we are struggling to get concreters and reviewing that program this week, and we did have a discussion with the divisional councillor. Our expectation is that we will not be able to complete all of the islands before Christmas. Our intent at this stage would be that we would replace the small section of footpath and do the CWA driveway. We are concerned if we go in there and start ripping up, then we will have disrupt December for that community. So we're just suggesting to council that we would go back to the community and just advise them that we would commence the islands after Christmas so that we don't disrupt their Christmas carnival. I think that would be an unfortunate thing. We would definitely get their other works done as we are now, and we'd be looking to restart with council's resources in the new year. Kevin will confirm that date. Will probably be likely last week in January, early February, and then we would go through and proceed. I think there's something like 18 islands to put in. There's a number of items that are here. So the landscaping and trees are ordered, and the waterworks there as well. I'm just mindful that you don't want to make a bad thing of December for that community, and there's nothing worse than having holes in the road and that sort of stuff. So that would be our intent at this stage to the chamber, just to make you aware.
Thank you, Jimmy. We'll stay with Councillor Henson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just on that quickly, Cumbria's excited, of course, and has been for a long time with this project to start, let alone be finished. But one of the comments was made as well, and can certainly understand with what's happening with our works crew and the supply and demand of consumables out there. But their Christmas tree, as many are being erected in the South Burnett, Cumbria's Christmas tree, I think from Manager Peterson, stated that the Cumbria Christmas tree will be erected next week or within the next fortnight. They're extremely excited about that. So that's another thing that's happening in Cumbria that may also be interfering with some of the works it's doing there. Great to have things happening in Cumbria, small steps, but we will get there.
Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. When I was at those community meetings, consultation meetings, and I think the concern was that there was pieces of the footpath all the way along that are actually trip hazards. There's sort of like spaces and lumps, and I can see that you're doing some work on concrete work on footpaths. Is that those pieces that are actually trip hazards and that were identified at those community days, or just that's my question? Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, if I may. So there is a section there's about 8.5 metres to come out, is my understanding. I'm happy to Shane, the KTP crew will be coming across once they complete some works up here to get those two sections done before Christmas. If there are trip hazards on that footpath, I'm happy to have them inspected and removed, and we will arrange for that while that crew is either there or in the new year while they're there. So if there's maintenance to be done, happy to do that.
Through Mr. Mayor, I absolutely think that would tick a lot of boxes because that was a major concern of a lot of the people. Thank you.
Okay, further speakers? Councillor Henson to close. Okay, good. Let's go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, we'll move on now to 11.5, which is a revised capital works program at 162. And thank you to our General Manager of Infrastructure for coming forward with this report, whereby recommendation is that South Burnett Regional Council consider a revised capital works and prioritised program for all works where possible, including its restoration of essential public assets, REPA, at the February second quarter review and February Budget Committee meeting. We have a mover, Councillor Jones, seconder, Councillor Potter. Speakers, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, just quickly, Mr. Mayor, I've been saying for a bit, and my personal views only, our capital program is undeliverable, I believe, and I think we do need to look at it. I've been speaking to mayors from neighbouring councils and Toowoomba, Western Downs and all that. They're having the same issue. Toowoomba's got about $100 million and they have declared that they will not have their REPA work done until June 2024. It's already public knowledge. It's on their Facebook page and everything else. So if you put that into comparison, that's what we need to look at. And I think it's something that we really need to look at as far as budgetary discussions go. I think we need to really have a good hard look at our capital works program and maybe put it back 12 months and utilise that the flooding funding and all that sort of stuff, particularly on our road networks and all that sort of stuff. I think we can get real value and make a significant impact on our budget discussions when we get there. So, yeah, fully supportive of a review.
For the speakers, Councillor Duff.
Through Mr. Mayor, just with that REPA, I thought that was being done through Red Frost. Is that correct, through the contractors? So are they the ones that are struggling to get on top of it, or can we engage additional contractors? Isn't that all being covered under the flood stuff in any case?
Yes, so excuse me, through you, Mr. Mayor. So Red Frost work for us. So what will happen is Red Frost are a project management team that's here. So they're putting together our submission. Our intent at this stage would be, and the purpose of the report was to look at our capital works program that's current, and also the discussions we've had council with about how we deliver that REPA. So that REPA is still owned and belongs to council, and particularly probably in our group of how that's delivered. So what we'll be looking at is what is our sealed program, what's our unsealed program, and what's council's priority to deliver that. Our intent at this stage is that we'll probably deliver with, we will put a strategy to council to deliver with internal and external resources to try and get that through. So, but Red Frost are a project management team that works for us, but ultimately they report through to Kevin and myself to see how that program is being delivered. And given it's getting quite large, it's probably time that council considers both programs concurrently and see how you wish to deliver that over the next 12 months.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, thank you. I'm just really concerned that the community are getting very, very frustrated about the timelines it's going to take to deliver the flood restoration. And I'm just thinking, and I have said in the chamber before, that we should, if we can, engage more than one contractor each time, try and get more contractors on the ground and do, like, make this, yeah, even if we have to get whether we can get our council teams, road teams to work on the flood stuff as opposed to, yeah, like you say, the capital works, but I think we can't hold our community's favour unless we can really hook in on the flood stuff.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, everyone will move as humanly fast as they can through the systems and the processes, but realistically, and actually I saw the media release that I haven't spoken to anyone from Toowoomba, but they put it out in a formal press release. It will take us 2 years to deliver the flood program. If you can get it done in under 2 years, it will be, I won't say a miracle, but it will be an absolutely stunning bit of work, even with contractors. The difficulty you have with flood programs is when you're flooded, everyone else is flooded, so the contractors are in high demand and the prices go up. There's the utilising your own staff. It's whether you can, and I'm a bit rusty on the formulas they use now, but about how much we can charge back and plant and equipment, everything else. With contractors, Red Frost has been doing, general manager said, but it's a realistically, you certainly won't get it done in under 12 months, and you're most likely looking at, and it's not a debate, I'm just stating a fact as I understand it, it will be a 2-year program.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, I recognise the challenges when we're competing with other regions for contractors, and we know every local government, most local governments across Queensland have all been impacted by some level due to the unprecedented rainfall events that we've had. We've also seen with COVID, the building and construction industry heavily impacted. I support this motion. I believe it's a responsible approach to take a deeper look and really understand our capital program and what we can realistically achieve. I was excited. I think we'd set a really ambitious capital works program, and it won't be an easy task to go through and review that. However, I'm very mindful that in a time when costs are so high and we're trying to deliver best benefits for the ratepayers, sometimes it may be best to actually stall on some of these projects because I'm very mindful of the serious risk of budget overruns and timing overruns purely just because there isn't the available materials or contractors to deliver on the works that we've set. We've got a large REAPER program. We need to rural roads, connectivity, it's the lifeblood of our region, and we really do need to focus on bringing that back up to an acceptable standard after the significant floods. And sometimes I feel you do have to go slow to go fast, and I would like to see us make responsible decisions and deliver on our commitments to our community.
Councillor Henshin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, supportive of this, and capital works, personally, I'd like to see a majority of them put on hold and we divert that funding into our road network that we can try and get on top of this. How we do that, I don't know. I know in conversations I've had, not just within the South Burnett, but I know on a recent trip where we all went to Cairns, I was fortunate enough to drive up there, and I zigged and zagged my way up and I zigged and zagged my way back. And the conversations I had along the way is just unbelievable, because you are lucky in hundreds of kilometres of stretches of roads through every shire council or regional council in that network from here to Cairns to get out of a 60 or 80k zone. You might get into 100k for a period of time to change into top gear, and you're back into an 80 or a 60k zone. It is from here to the top of the country, and certainly out west. And to be able to source the contractors, if you saw the gear that's on the roads out there, I can understand there's not enough out there, and I feel for you guys in our departments that are trying to source contractors. They're not there. You go down to Brisbane and have a look what's happening there outside Burpengary up to on the way to Sunshine Coast. It's just unbelievable. The machinery and the guys that are on the road networks in our state. And spare a thought, New South Wales is just in probably one of its major flooding events since 2010. So when that subsides, there is going to be an enormous amount of civil works and contractors all taken down to the south as well. So, yeah, fully supportive of this. I think our capital, look forward to the revision we do on that, and I think we can certainly improve by shuffling things around there, and as Councillor Shoemaker's alluded to, yeah, get our network that we have patched up rather than start building some new stuff.
Further speakers? Okay, Councillor Jones, anything to close? Straightforward. Okay, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. And thank you again, General Manager Meehan, for many balls you're juggling at the moment, including this one. Okay, let's move on to 12.1, change of council representative on the Arts, Culture and Heritage Advisory Committee at 163. It's recommended from the Standing Committee that Councillor Duff, as the Deputy Chair of the Arts, Culture and Heritage Advisory Committee, be replaced by Councillor Erkins in alignment with the Arts, Culture and Heritage terms of reference. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. A seconder? Councillor Jones. Thank you. Speakers? Councillor Potter. No. Other speakers? Go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 12.2, Expo 88 statue rescuing Captain Bligh at 164, where the recommendation from the committee is that South Bennett Regional Council advise the legacy of Expo 88 organisation that council is not able to accept and display the Expo 88 statue rescuing Captain Bligh. Do we have a mover? Councillor Erkins, a seconder. Councillor Duff, thank you. Speakers, Councillor Erkins. No, we're good to go. Further speakers? To the vote, those in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you all. 12.3, licence to occupy, excuse me, Les Muller Hut, Blackbutt. It's at 165, where the committee has recommended, provides a recommendation at the bottom of page 165, and it is that South Bennett Regional Council resolves the exception in the Local Government Regulation 2012, section 236, 1B2 applies to council for the disposal by way of grant of a licence to occupy to the valuable non-current asset, which is the land comprising part of Lot 1 on RP 120337, to the Bloom and Beautiful Blackbutt Festival Incorporated, a community organisation other than by way of tender or auction, for a term of 1 year with an option of a further term of 1 year on terms agreed between council and the Bloom and the Bloomin' Beautiful Blackbutt Festival Incorporated. The item 2, that South Bennett Regional Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate, finalise and execute the licence to occupy between council and the BB and the Triple B Festival Incorporated, if I could say that, on terms and conditions the Chief Executive Officer reasonably considers are satisfactory to council. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded. Councillor Potter. Speakers, Councillor Jones. No further speakers. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. And thank you, Mr. CEO, to the work your team has done in bringing that forward. Let's now move on to 13.1, dog registration write-off. That is at 167. Committee has recommended that South Bennett Regional Council approve the write-off of approximately $54,000 for outstanding dog registrations for the 2021-2022 year, and that this be accounted for in Council's compliance 2022-2023 budget. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconder. Councillor Henson, thank you. Speakers, Councillor Potter. Further speakers? Councillor Henson, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I just like the public to know, and I guess maybe a media release in just exactly why this has happened and the figures. I mean, there's a bit surrounding this, as we've spoken about in standing committee. Not just $54,000. That sounds a lot of money, but it's because of people that have left the district and their dogs. So it's not. Perhaps we could reiterate that to the general public out there, and an explanation of a little bit of a breakdown of what this is totals.
Yes, duly noted. Thank you, Councillor Henson. Okay, further speakers? If not, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all, and thank you, General Manager Jarvis. I know your debtors team work very hard, as do our customer service team in this space. So thank you very much. 14.1, South Bennett Water Feasibility Phase 2, 168, where the recommendation from the committee is that South Bennett Regional Council receive the South Bennett Water Feasibility Phase 2 report for information, and note that the purpose of the stakeholder engagements held on 2 and 3 November were targeted at the stakeholders who had engaged in or been part of progressing our identified projects. Example, Gordon Brook Dam Irrigation Scheme, Blackbutt Irrigation Scheme, Barlil and Baramba Weirs projects, and further that broad community engagement be undertaken through community briefings for those areas not included in the targeted information sessions. Do we have a mover? Councillor Shoemaker. A seconder? Councillor Potter. Thank you. Speakers, Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's certainly exciting for council to receive this report. As we know, the South Bennett has great agricultural potential. Developing this potential, however, relies on water. Our region has powered the needs of Queensland in the past and will continue to do so into the future as we transition to a cleaner energy state. However, that requires a planned and coordinated approach. This economic roadmap is about working hand in hand with government industry, and our community to further diversify our economy and provide jobs while the region transitions from coal-fired power generation to become a renewable energy hub. The Premier has pledged not to leave regional workers or communities behind and to work with communities to develop regional economic future strategies for regions like us with existing coal-fired plants. As the energy plan seeks to deliver energy reliability, security and affordability, this roadmap, if enacted, will enable our region to provide the food and fibre needed for a growing southeast Queensland population and local employment opportunities for transitioning workforce. We know that the South Burnett has a substantial opportunity to become an agricultural powerhouse, supporting local markets and establishing new export markets. This region has the right soil, favourable climate, growing markets and generations of farming expertise. The only limitation is water availability. This plan is about creating job-creating water infrastructure to grow agriculture and manufacturing sectors in the South Burnett, sectors that are job-creating sectors. This report outlines the initial proposals to develop irrigation schemes in the South Burnett. These schemes were identified through a comprehensive options analysis conducted in 2020. These 3 schemes include the Barlil-Baramba Weirs project, which would create up to 3,000 megalitres of 90% reliable water. Converting Gordon Brook Dam into an irrigation scheme, which would provide another 1,800 megalitres of available water. And build the Blackbutt irrigation network to supply up to 2,000 megalitres of available water. This additional reliability would allow some irrigators to transition from broadacre crops to high-value crops, such as wine, grapes, olives and garlic, and just imagine the potential for value-adding industries. This plan proposes to transition some water allocation currently used for power generation through the Bundoomba pipeline to support the growth of agriculture and manufacturing using the existing infrastructure and by building small pipelines. Another key focus of this roadmap, of course, is to secure water allocation for Kingaroy and potentially Nanango's urban water usage into the future. I commend this plan and these opportunities to our council and our region, and I look forward to continuing the conversations in our community as we take these findings and opportunities forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers? Councillor Duff.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I absolutely agree that all of these things are exciting projects. The Gordon Brook Dam, long overdue, Blackbutt irrigation, Barlil and Baramba Weirs would certainly turn a lot of lives around. But I'm just hoping that these plans get beyond the dust collecting stage and into reality. It would be wonderful to get some state and federal money behind some of these projects so that we can actually get some real outcomes for the community instead of, just the paper trail that currently exists. So really keen on the plan, but yes, hopefully it will turn into a reality. And just the other one, on point number 2, further the broader community engagement be undertaken through community briefings for those areas not included in the targeted information sessions. I'm just wondering if we go out and talk to the community, like who's going to do that? And is that just like we've got these projects that are in the plan that we think we might some stage get some funding for? What are we doing to go out? Why are we going out and suggesting that there might be funding for other projects when we're flat getting, we're going to be hard pushed to do anything with even the ones that are on the table? Just a question about that second dot point.
Yeah.
Councillor, I'm probably a little bit on a different path to you. The second dot point was an inquiry that came prior to the previous meeting about other community groups. And if I can say Nanango, we had an inquiry from, could they have a bit of a discussion about the plan and what was in it? So it's not to go out and to re-engage as far as are we seeking more projects. It was the plan's adopted. Today's resolution will allow the plan to go on public release, so we'll put it up on the website and circulate it far and wide to whoever wants a copy. we were just reluctant to, well, we are very reluctant to release it until full council considered it with the appropriate delegation to receive it. And the second dot point was prior to the standing committees, how come these, and the question basically was, how come these communities have got a meeting about what's in the plan and we haven't? That was through, yeah, and it's a good question. They were the targeted ones, and so the next round is just organise with staff and councillors or anyone who wants to go, here's the plan and this is what's in it. So it's an information session about the plan rather than re-engaging on what else do you want in it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you, that's fair.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just in point one, targeted at the stakeholders, just a question maybe through you to Councillor Shoemaker, because she's been working hand in hand with our consultants. I noticed SEQ Water and Stanwell are not in that list of targeted. We're after allocation and all that sort of stuff. They're big players. How much work have we done with them? And Department of State Development, have we been corresponding with those guys a fair bit in the whole process and all that? Because conversations I've had with certain people and managers and all that sort of stuff indicate that may have been lacking a little. Just need some confirmation around that.
Better GM me in first, and then we can go back to Councillor Shoemaker.
Yeah,
if necessary.
excuse me, through you, Mr Mayor, just an early one. So our first, I'll just go back to the phase one of the study. There was a large stakeholder engagement across the board. Those Stanwell, for example, were invited to be part of phase two. So they were all publicly advertised for people to attend. There is a mailbox set up that all the notifications were sent to those who registered for phase two. I'm aware that since then we've had some further engagement with Stanwell and some of the stakeholders outside of that. I think at this stage the intent of the plan, I'm happy to be corrected, is to identify opportunities and ground truth projects that are able to be done. I think our next phase going forward through that advocacy will be to engage with all those people that you've mentioned to how we actually make a plan to get these projects through to fruition, or at least get them into the next phase. So that was the intent of that phase. But I don't wish to mean to steal the councillor's thunder either, Mr Mayor.
Yes, thank you for the question. Absolutely, Department of State Development will be key moving forward, being that they have a key role that's been identified as part of the Queensland Government's Energy and Jobs Plan. And as in the many conversations, webinars and discussions I've had, there is actually a very strong role that the Department of State Development will now play, now that that plan has been released, in terms of identifying suitable land for renewable energy projects. That, however, really couldn't happen until the release of the Queensland Jobs and Energy Plan. So it just so happens that the timing has miraculously worked out somewhat quite well. That Queensland Jobs and Energy Plan has been something I know myself I've been asking questions about ever since the start of this term of council, and it has been pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. As per the Premier State of the State, it was finally we have an idea of what's in store for our region in that regard. In terms of conversations with Stanwell, definitely have met with key contacts from Stanwell and had some preliminary discussions about the plan. Certainly used the recent community information session to have a very good conversation with the Chief Operating Officer who was in attendance. In terms of SEQ Water and Sunwater, absolutely have been talking with Sunwater through the Bundaberg Burnett Regional Water Assessment process, which started at the beginning of this year. So I've actively been at the table at those meetings and actively been providing feedback. All of this information has been directly fed into the Burnett Bundaberg Regional Water Assessment directly, and I have actually organised direct briefings for the KBR team to provide that information directly to Sunwater. So I'm pretty confident and comfortable with the level of engagement that has been undertaken. This really is now about taking all of that information and what we have in an actual documented plan. We're actually so far ahead of so many other regions because we have all of this information in a plan that we can start to certainly continue those conversations and push for outcomes. And I think this is a great start in terms of determining that into the future.
Thank you, General Manager. Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers? Okay. Anything to close, Councillor Shoemaker, before we go to the vote? Okay. Those in favour? Carry unanimously. Thank you all.
Just as a side, I think I may have mentioned it before, but clear. So we were holding off putting it on the web page and anywhere else. So the actual document itself, it is quite a large soft file and a big old copy, but it'll go out through the website and then the links will be circulated for anyone who wants a copy.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. 14.2, grant application, State Emergency Service Support Grant 2324 at 170, whereby the staff have recommended that South Burnett Regional Council develop and submit an application to the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services QFES for funding the following capital works under the SES Support Grant for 2023-24. Blackbutt SES Main Building, new roof over office and carport. Blackbutt SES Store Building, new ceiling to the store area. Approve a capital works program allocation of $100,000 for the capital works planned per above at the Blackbutt SES facility, and subject to the grant application being approved, the current capital budget amended in the third quarter capital budget review to enable the execution of the project. We'll go to Councillor Potter. Councillor Potter, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, this is actually really a good news grant application if everyone agrees to it, because for 25,000 we get $100,000 worth of work done, and I do feel that the SES, they're all unpaid volunteers within our community and they do so much. We often have our SES volunteers that are out doing the work while their own houses are being inundated or something like that. So this is at least one way we can support them and their community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Having said that, could we take it that you'll support and move this motion for the council? Thank you. So moved by Councillor Potter with those comments. Seconded, Councillor Jones. Thank you. Further speakers? Anything to close, Councillor Potter? We'll wrap up to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Item 15.1, Kingaroy Memorial Park Dog Park relocation at 173. And the recommendation from the committee is that options for a new dog park location be discussed whilst implementing the Kingaroy Memorial Park and Pool Master Plan community consultation over the next 3 months, and a report be brought back to the Council Standing Committee meeting in March 2023 on the preferred option for dog park location in Kingaroy. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. A seconder, Councillor Shoemaker. Speakers, Councillor Potter. Further speakers, Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to say it's wonderful to see that consultation happening here in front of the Kingaroy Library. The office is open at different hours and it is advertised to provide feedback around the Memorial Park Master Plan, and certainly I think the dog park relocation is a key part of that. It's wonderful to see people in that building actually taking the opportunity to have a good look at the information provided and to provide their feedback, and I know there are a number of really excited residents in the region, so I just wanted to remind our community it's a wonderful opportunity to really share what you think and how you like to use public spaces, and that all of the feedback is welcomed. Thank you.
Further speakers? To the vote, those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, General Manager O'May, to you and your team for the work done thus far. Moving on to 15.2, petition for Mergen Dog Park at 174, where it has been to committee, which has recommended that public consultation be undertaken to seek community input into possible location of a dog park, and a dog park in Mergen be designed and costed for consideration in the 2023-24 budget. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff. Seconder, Councillor Jones. Thank you. Speakers, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I think the community of Mergen will be happy to see that it is being considered, considering that they put that deputation to council, and yes, good to see that it will be considered for the 23-24 budget. Thank you.
Further speakers? To the vote, those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you again, General Manager O'May, to you and your team. QE2 Park Design Plan at 175. Committee has recommended the South Bennett Regional Council adopt the draft design of QE2 Park Mergen Concept Plan, Eastern End section, provide the additional funding in the 2022-23 Capital Works program to enable the full completion of Stage 1 of the QE2 Park redevelopment in Mergen, provides the total estimated project cost of $316,000 and endorses the allocation of $290,000 from the Works for Queensland funding for Stage 1 Eastern end of the QE2 Park redevelopment and allocates the underspend from Works for Queensland project Wandi amenities upgrades of $26,000 to the QE2 Park redevelopment Stage 1 Eastern end. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff. Seconder, Councillor Potter. Speakers, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This has been a long, drawn-out project, and I think the community of Mergen will be really excited to see it delivered sooner rather than later. So really excited to have this recommendation supported. Thank you.
Further speakers? Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I fully support this, but I just want to highlight I have serious concerns about when we get into the project, because I after the conversations in the standing committee, I'm of the opinion that it may not have been costed completely fully, and we're not aware of the full costings. We're happy to see this, the conversation that we want to see it get underway and all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping that the funding that we've allocated to this project will get the job finished and completed. But I just want to highlight I have concerns after our conversations and listening to staff that it may not have been costed up fully at that stage when we made that decision, and it may cost more. Hopefully it'll cost less and we'll get the best results. So I just want to put that out there, but I will support it, and hopefully we'll get through the project without any extra money.
Further speakers? Councillor Shoemaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's probably more of a question to General Manager O'May. Or I would really like to see us, I know we've discussed this in committee, there really has been limited opportunity for broad community consultation in relation to the design. And, you know, I've learned so much over these last 2 years about how passionate community is about different aspects of their towns. I know there is a real desire from the community to get something going, which I think is exciting, and I'm fully supportive of that. My thinking, however, is that I personally have not been to QE2 Park and had conversations with community about the design that was put forward. My question, Peter, General Manager O'May, is what is the current plan in terms of starting these works? And is there an opportunity somewhere in there for our council to actually have a bit of a pop-up in QE2 Park and discuss the plan with the community? I know through the work that was done with the KTP consultation, we had pop-ups in the shopping centre and on the street. Councillor Potter and I attended a number of those, as did some of my other colleagues. And, you know, it was really valuable to at least talk through the plan and show the community what we were thinking of doing. So my question, General Manager O'May, is there a time frame in there that would enable us to at least share this plan as councillors with the community and have some sort of pop-up in QE2 Park?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I might have to refer to Councillor Duff in some of this, because essentially that has happened numerous times, and apologies if you haven't been included in those, but the plans have been sort of shared with the community through the divisional councillor. As far as like, yeah, the more we go back and do the designs and that, then it just won't, like, yeah, the idea is to try get into the project, and yeah, probably probably just touching on Councillor Jones's, so that these projects weren't detailed scope, and so that's why we've ended up having to bring the western stage into the eastern, the funding for that to complete it. But yeah, my understanding is that there has been, and probably not to the extent, say, of KTP or the Memorial Park, but yeah, through the divisional council has been quite a lot of consultation backwards and forwards. But we could certainly arrange sort of, say, to catch up with the parks guys and go over it sort of with you and with Councillor Duff. So yeah, certainly happy to arrange an on-site meeting.
Yes, I would really appreciate that. The reality is the first I seen of the plan was at the last committee meeting. The actual plan itself, there'd been sketches drawn by the community, and some community members had provided quite detailed sketches, but the actual plan had only just been received by council at the last committee meeting. So I hadn't seen that, hadn't had an opportunity to discuss that with the community. I don't know. I certainly understand and respect and thank Councillor Duff for her efforts in engaging with her community. I just know how quickly, once you start doing something, people will say, well, we weren't sure, we didn't know this was going to happen, you know, and I'm questioning how much we've actually informed them about this, because certainly if I've only just seen the plan last month, I can't imagine all members of the community have seen that plan. So I would like to see us do some sort of on-site pop-up where we're sharing and informing the community what we're actually doing in that park, so that we can be ahead of any issues and all be on the same page with the same messaging from the start.
General Manager indicated, Councillor Duff, that you may have further information, but General Manager will stay with you, and then Councillor Duff, if you have further information to respond to the councillor, if you could add that as well. Thank you.
I suppose just thinking we probably could look at putting the design up on some core flutes or something just for display there, so people could have a bit of a concept of what is happening. So that's probably an easy way to actually just to put that up. But yeah, there has been, to my understanding, there has been a lot of feedback, and we're not dramatically changing the park. It's more a refurbishment. So yeah, I don't think it'll be a dramatic change. There might be, the removal of a couple of trees might be a bit. There's people are always on both sides of tree removal for different reasons. But we might look at putting some core flutes of the designs up at least, and so people can feedback. But as I said, it's not really a dramatic change to the park or use of the park. It's really a refurbishment and a refresh.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so the consultation has been going on for, it would be the best part of 18 months, and we did have meetings in the park, and I'm pretty sure that some of the other councillors came. I think Councillor Erkins was at one. I think all the councillors were invited, but there was people came and we discussed it, and we've discussed it, and we've had plans and all, and it's gone through the Bergen Business Association. But basically, as General Manager O'May said, it's got down to a very basic. It's just replacing the shade shelters. It's renewing the footpath, and just re-turfing and levelling the ground, and some removal of some of the trees that are actually dying. In any case, they're the ones that are reached their use-by date, and then there's some figs that are causing infrastructure damage, and we're going to relocate them to a different spot and put some more advanced different species of tree, because apparently they should never have been planted there. So it's basically, it's a very basic plan. It's not anything that's a lot of the other stuff that they actually wanted is not in the plan, which was like interpretive signage and stuff like that, because we're not able to afford it, and the community is aware of that. So I don't think there's, I'm happy if it goes up, and but I think the community is pretty much over the consultation. They're wanting to see something happen. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Anything further, Councillor Shoemaker?
Thank you for the feedback. Look, I'm a big believer in communication and two-way communication. I think it's important that we continue to communicate what is actually happening. I'm mindful of people's expectations, perhaps when those initial conversations were had and all of that brainstorming happened on the back of an envelope. We really haven't come back to our community. I know in other experiences, the Blackbutt streetscape, the Cumbia streetscape, the the Wandai roundabout, the discussions about the Christmas tree, community is quite passionate about these things, and I just would feel much more comfortable if we were informing them of that final plan and doing some direct community information around that. So that's my feedback.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you, to the GM, the likelihood of this project getting underway before Christmas, probably next to none. So I'll put this to the chamber, Mr Mayor, through you. Is there any issues from any other councillors that if some of the councillors in the room today want to go up and when you put your call flutes up and have a chat to your community and all that sort of stuff, and just so, like Councillor Shoemaker indicates, so that is there any issues with that? And I'm not saying that we're going to do that and change the world or change the design, but just for the benefit of the councillors that are unsure of what they're voting on or what they're supporting on, or have their opportunity to communicate with the community up there. Is that a possibility, you know, without making it anything major official, but if you had the call flutes up there and councillors choose to go up there in a group of 3 or 4, or and obviously with Councillor Duff as being the representative for up there and the portfolio for parks, is that a possibility before Christmas if they wish?
Go to you, General Manager MA, on this one. I know the resolution goes to council adopting the draft design. So if there was feedback from the community to those councillor sessions that expressed a desire to change that draft design, would there be an option to do that? Or should council consider holding this until such time as that consultation takes place? Probably, or Mr CEO, in terms of the governance around this particular resolution? Yeah. You want to go first, Peter?
Yeah,
and then we'll come back to Mr CEO. I'm just concerned that we've got a resolution at hand here that we need to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, that's and that was probably my thoughts that Councillor Jones has just articulated, is that we would be able to get some call flutes up before Christmas. Yeah, works wouldn't start till the new year, but we could certainly organise a morning. As far as the draft design, I think when we did talk about it, if there's minor things that need tinkering, we would just, like, it's not a fully engineered design scope, so it is still in that concept thing. So yeah, so there will be those on ground, I suppose, adjustments that will be done. So yeah, if those things come up, then we would just incorporate them into the design. It would be if we're including new elements to it that came at a cost, which would need to come back to council. But yeah, it's really just a blueprint. That we need to take the advice of the landscapers and the we make sure we're missing all the water, electricity, and all of those services with the design. So there will be those on ground minor. But yeah, if there is feedback, we would just incorporate it in. If it was major and a deal breaker, then again we would be bringing something back to council. But yeah, it's probably keen just to try, get the project moving. But yeah, I think it's a good idea if we can do the call flutes and a morning tea or something, and councillors can,
Mayor, I was actually just trying to find the minute. The similar one that you had was when Cumbia got sent back. It was the ordinary meeting of the 28th of September, and I'm just racking my brains thinking, and it was the final design was accepted. I'll find you the word. Pending the final, what was it, page 18? Here we go. So whether you wanted to add something like this to the resolution rather than holding up the resolution. South Burnett Regional Council approved the Cumbia CBD Streetscape detailed design. This was on 28th of September, so Cumbia was held until the September meeting with the design discussions and consultation, noting final community feedback on 29 September, which was the walk around that had been offered for commencement of project construction and goes on to the funding. So it would be, if you wanted to remain consistent, adopt the draft design pending any final community feedback. But it's Mayor, in your hands, but that's what you did for Cumbia.
Councillor Duff and Councillor Potter, as the mover and seconder, if we would insert the words pending community feedback.
So, Mr. Mayor, just wanting to go maybe down the same line as Cumbia, just a specific, let's just do that, like have a walk around or something with the community rather than just, because otherwise it's too open-ended, like just to put a, is that possible to actually put a walk around with the community or something that was actually, we just did it?
I'd rather see.
Okay, okay, sorry, yeah, Mr. CEO, you go.
Thanks, Mayor. So, and the reason I just dived for the Cumbia example was because the consultation had already been undertaken. It was final, and it certainly Cumbia sits. It's, if you want to be consistent, it actually sits with the same concept as the design. Council adopts the draft design. It was pending any final tweaks to it, so I think General Manager may. And the trees come up a couple of times in conversations, and certainly if the fig trees have to be removed, it's the old joke, we'll have them, because they're beautiful trees, and I think they're being repurposed rather than removed. So we probably shouldn't be saying removed, because that does, I know what's in a word, but they're being repurposed somewhere else. Yeah, oh yeah, we'll have them. Yeah, so it would be, Kim, I think it would be just noting any final community feedback in a bracket. Bracket, noting any final community feedback from a park pop-up with councillors. Park morning tea feedback from a park morning tea, a park pop-up.
Sorry, before Christmas?
Before Christmas, yep, absolutely. Because then with Councillor Duff and whatever engagement we have now, because if we just don't want to be rolling, otherwise we won't start. Yeah. Yep. But no, that's, and then close bracket.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. So we're consistent then with Cumbia. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Okay, so we have consent from mover and seconder to proceed. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you. Everyone's happy there. Councillor Erkins?
Yeah, can I say, one of the reasons I'm very happy with the motion, because I think the community will show the community that all councillors are respectful of their, their feedback onto it. And I think it would be nice to go and have morning tea with Councillor Duff and the rest of my fellow councillors up there.
I'm not sure if we'd be able to get that one through a council meeting, that Councillor Duff shout, that might, that'll be on the business outstanding table for years to come, Okay, are there anything further? Councillor Duff, anything to close?
No, happy, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, let's go to the vote. Those in favour, carried unanimously. Thank you all. Options for Proston Swimming Pool is at 177, and the recommendation coming forward is that, from a committee, is that South Bennett Regional Council engage the Wondai Pool Manager to open and operate the Proston Swimming Pool every Thursday during the Queensland 22-23 summer school holidays from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at a cost to council of $265 per week. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff. A seconder, Councillor Potter. Thank you. Speakers, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Proston community are very disappointed that there was no one able to be engaged by council when the tenders went out and no one tendered for the Proston pool, and it's caused a lot of grief. A lot of people are very upset. I've said to them that they can have every Thursday, they're going to get through the school holidays, that opportunity for kids to swim. There's a lot of concern about the fact that that's all they're getting, but I think that at least they're getting that. And as Manager Leanne said, perhaps once the Wondai Pool Manager does this program, that they may engage someone to go out there and do it more often. It might be an opportunity that they see from the Wondai side to actually manage it. But there's a lot of issues around learning to swim, and the kids are actually going down to the weir now and swimming in the weir, which I've had feedback they think it's very dangerous, and it's just unfortunate that we have that pool and no one's managing it outside hours, and so the kids can't use it. So just wanted to flag that it is an ongoing issue for the Proston community not to have that pool operating outside council hours, outside school hours.
Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, it is disappointing for Proston to have it only that Thursday, but at the same time, at least they're getting it open for one day a week. And I think, again, I'd like to, this council, to explain to the general public that the rules and regulations around managing a swimming pool today are far from "she'll be right, mate," because you're putting kids' lives at risk. There is a serious criteria, and it was explained when the tenders went out that the regulations and the requirements you have to be a pool manager today. You just can't be able to administer first aid. You've got to be a lifesaver, and there's many other criteria you have to tick the boxes in as well. I'm sure that when the Wandoi pool manager gets there, Councillor Duff, and through you, Mr Mayor, that she will see the need for extended hours there, because I think even though it's only one day, from 1 till 6, I think that's a great result, a small one, but a great result for Proston and the community and the kids out there. And hopefully she sees the potential out there, or someone else with the right credentials can step up to the plate there for the Proston pool. So again, small steps, but it's a good one in the right direction. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just absolutely agree with the comments made. Fully supportive of this recommendation. I know, small communities like Proston and their young people absolutely need something to be doing on the summer school holidays. I think it's wonderful that the pool will be open from 1 to 6 on a Thursday. I don't disagree, however, with the comments made. I do believe that for regional and rural communities like ourselves, learning to swim is key for any young person. And I would like to see us really look at this issue into the new year with our budgeting, look at how other councils perhaps operate their pools, if there's another model or if there is anything else that can be done to see these gates open so the community can access the pool. I'd really be supportive of doing some of that investigative work, because clearly what we've always done isn't going to work into the future, and there may be some sort of outside the box thinking or approach that we might be able to put toward this problem. So supportive of this motion for now, but would really like to see us keep this on the to-do list and keep our minds active and thinking about, in the lead up to the budget, what other options there may be to actually open this up, because I think, the evidence shows here in the South Burnett, we've got such high levels of socio-economic disadvantage. We know with the rising costs of living, it's getting harder and harder for families to be able to take a trip or a holiday, and facilities like our pools and our parks became sanctuaries for our residents. So I'd really like to see us do something about this. I think it's a great interim solution, but not the only one.
Further speakers? No. Councillor Duff to close. Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, I agree with Councillor Shoemaker. And there has been some out-of-the-box suggestions, and one was that the PNC, they actually got a letter from the school to say that they would cover their insurance if the PNC were able to do volunteers from the PNC would be able to do the courses necessary to actually manage the pool. The issue there is obviously it's costly to actually do those, to do the course, and the other one is then they would be just doing it absolutely as volunteers, but there is an appetite for that, so that's an option. And the other one was to suggest to go out to tender again, because there's still interest, and whether I'm just maybe in closing, just a question to GM May, if someone was prepared to tick all the boxes and are we still in a position to actually engage someone to manage the pool? That was another question, I guess, just in closing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. So the funding is all just as a council decision. If we've got someone willing to operate it, then there'd be no reason we couldn't do that. So so the team are still looking at options, and we do hopefully we will be able to uncover something and be back to council very shortly.
Okay, thank you, council. Let's go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 15.5, Goodger School Land Reserve at 178. Committee has recommended South Burnett Regional Council advise the Department of Resources that, to its knowledge, the named trustees of the reserve for Public Hall being Lot 186 on FY 850 are all deceased. Undertake public consultation public consultation be undertaken to advise the community of the current situation and further options. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. A seconder? Councillor Jones. Thank you. Speakers? Councillor Potter.
Thank you. Just on your reading of that, we may need to reword that last, the item number 2, undertake public consultation be taken. That might need.
Might
done.
take the words be undertaken out there. Thanks, Kimberly. On the second line. Yeah. Oh, you've done that. You're already a step ahead of it. You're very sharp.
ahead of
Thank
the
you,
game.
Kimberly.
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Further speakers? To the vote? Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 15.6, Kingaroy Depot Workshop, roller door replacement at 179. The committee has recommended that South Bennett Regional Council agree to replace the roller door to prevent safety and security issues and reallocate the cost of replacement $23,400 from the Cloyne Hall CapEx budget, and that this capital item be placed in the 23-24 capital program, and that the drainage be addressed at the Cloyne Hall with the remaining fund allocation of $56,600, being the $80,000 less the $23,400, and any funds left over after the drainage works to be utilised on commencing the hall restorations. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconded Councillor Henshin. Speakers, Councillor Potter. No further speakers. Councillor Duff.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like a commitment from General Manager Meehan to actually do that drainage work sooner rather than later.
Okay. Whose is that one?
Oh, I'm just concerned about the drainage, that water that's
Okay.
the hall is sitting in
Let's
water.
go to General Manager O'May. General Manager O'May, I think the question is more to expected time frame, based on resources around the capacity to deliver that work. Thank you, General Manager.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so this one does sit with us, so you're off the hook, GME. And so I think our guys are looking at it in because it's the drainage getting under the hall and doing this one. So it's more on the property, not out on the road that we'll be dealing with. So yeah, as I said at the start of the meeting, this one I probably might just leave till next week's standing committee, and we can get an update from the team on the program of work. So because it's that they were trying to get someone out to have a look. So yeah, I'll probably just leave it till next week for an update.
Yeah, thanks, GM. If Mr. CEO, if it's okay, we'll take that as a question on notice to be responded to at next week's standing committee meeting. Thank you. Okay, further speakers.
Yes.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm fully supportive. I read the report, understand the safety and security issues around the roller door, do see that as a priority for council to fix that problem. I just wanted to confirm the cost, $23,346.18. That's obviously been quoted up. Is that, once upon a time you'd build a shed for that, so I just want to confirm, that that's the best price on offer and that we've done the homework and actually what the scope of the works that we're doing.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so that is, it has been quoted up, so we have got it from the garage door companies, and yeah, it's a roller door on the stores building, so the door is the size of a normal residential garage, or it is not your standard roller door entry, so it is a major sort of roller door. So yeah, that's the quote. So and yeah, again, if it, as I said in previously, if it fails, then we have the risk of that our whole stores building being unsecured, and it's not an easy fix. So keen to get on with it.
Further speakers? No. Anything to close, Councillor Potter? No, we're comfortable. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour, carry unanimously. Thank you all. 15.7, request to hire Kingaroy Town Hall for Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and fees be waived at 180. And Council, that recommendations come from the committee that South Bennett Regional Council waive the fees for the Kingaroy reception room for the South Bennett Peace of Mind Association, should they wish to use it through the Christmas and New Year period. Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, seconded by Councillor Potter. Speakers? Councillor
Through
Duff.
Mr Mayor, just think that it's a wonderful initiative by the South Burnett Peace of Mind to give some people Christmas that probably would normally be spending it by themselves. So I'm just really supportive of this. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
To confer with the CEO. Mr. CEO, I have been dealing with South Burnett Peace of Mind on a personal level in terms of possibly providing some donation funding to them. Should I now exit the room under a conflict of interest?
The advice I would have, Mayor, is the dealings on a personal level are your personal arrangement, but if there is a decision before council, yes, that would be actually a fair point. So there would be a council decision point. So if you want to pop out, that would be good.
I'd like to take the CEO's advice and leave the meeting, not comment on this matter, not engage in the matter, and leave it to my colleagues to determine. If Deputy Mayor Jones would be so kind as to take the chair. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. So we're on 15.7. Councillor Potter, do you have anything to add, please?
Yeah, same as Councillor Duff, actually. Rhonda Trivett and South Burnett Peace of Mind, they've really worked tirelessly over within our community over the last many years. And what Rhonda does in our community is quite incredible. And this will give anybody a place to go over the Christmas and New Year's time, which we all know is actually one of the hardest time for a lot of people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, councillors? Otherwise, we'll go straight to the vote. It's pretty straightforward and makes common sense. It's a great gesture. All right, we'll go to the officer's recommendation that moved by Councillor Duff, seconded by Councillor Potter, that the South Burnett Regional Council waive the fees for the Kingaroy reception room for the South Burnett Peace of Mind Association should they wish to use it through the Christmas and New Year period. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. We can grab the Mayor again. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank you, Councillor. My sincere apologies for not bringing that to your attention earlier. Okay, so we now move on to 15.8, Development of a Bed and Support Group Kingaroy at 181, where it's recommended that South Burnett Regional Council waive the fees of the hire of the Kingaroy Town Hall reception room for a trial period of 3 months. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. Seconder, Councillor Duff. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thank you. The men's group have been looking for a bit of a home for many years now. They've tried a few different places, but they really need I think this will really help them out. The men's group is a place that men can feel safe about talking about anything, and they've got some really good support from, certain councils within our councillors, not councillors in our area. So, and that is really, really good to see that they've got that support from our community. So this is a great motion and I do support it.
Councillor Erkins.
Can I just ask I was looking at the costs there for the Tuesday meetings were $2,700 or Wednesday meetings were $696. Why is there such a big difference?
Facilities and time. So the Tuesday meeting, so the time, what they may or may not use as far as the buildings, and the evening is a lesser time. So it was just worked out on the rates.
Okay. One of the things that did concern me, if this is the group that we met with, is there are only actually 3 of them at this stage.
If I could clarify, Mr. CEO, if that's okay, or Council, the 3, Councillor Potter and I think are aware that the 3 people representing the group are simply representatives, that there are other people to whom they'll be providing support. So they do have a number of people who will be coming along to be part of the group. But Councillor Potter, do you want to add any more to that? Thank you.
Yeah, so the group have been meeting at another place in town that hasn't actually quite worked out for them, but there were definitely more than 3. So they've had up to 10 or so, or more than that at times. So there are people out there, and I do believe that once this gets out there, that this group is there for them, that more people will come along and this is truly valuable and needed in our community for them.
Okay, it was just that when they were asked, they did say there was only 3 of them in the group. They were directly asked how many in the group. They're hoping to get more, they said, but at that stage they did say there was only 3. But I am supportive of the thing. I just want to clarify a couple of those things.
I think the response was that there are 3 of them who are running it and managing it as a group, but there are other people that come and access the support services that they provide. Yeah, and I do recall that I think something was mentioned, there being about 10 people previously involved. I do recall that. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Duff.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this is only a trial in any case, but I'm very, very supportive of this. I know that our halls it's often said our halls are underutilised, and this is to me, an opportunity to use the hall, part of the hall here. I think they're talking about the supper room, but just to actually get good outcome. I know that some of the people I've met with them as well have been frustrated for a long time to not have a space to do this kind of work, and this is about mental health, and I think fully supportive of this. I think it's a wonderful initiative.
Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Duff, a wonderful initiative. But am I correct in saying these guys are a non-for-profit organisation? And if so, the costs there are half of what was initially stated on the Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So, and it is only for a 3-month period. So you're only talking a quarter of what those costs would be there in actual fact. Would that be correct? Are they a non-for-profit?
They're not incorporated yet. At the moment, it's a group of like-minded individuals, for the best of my understanding.
Okay.
We put the 2 prices there if they did incorporate, but that would be what it's worth. I don't think they're incorporated yet. And the other thing, while I'm just answering a question, so they did ask for a different day during the week as well, but the recurrent bookings in the hall, and particularly that we're going to make it available, hence the trial as well. The dates that their preferred date, we just couldn't. We'd have to be booting other bookings.
Yeah. No, that's fine, and I understand incorporation is another process I have to go through, but I don't have a problem with this. It's a great initiative. Thank you.
If there's no further speakers, we'll go to Councillor Potter to close.
Thank you. I'd actually just like to add here, which I probably didn't add earlier, is that the South Burnett Suicide Prevention Working Group is a not-for-profit, and they were willing to back the men's support group because one of the members is actually a member of the Suicide Prevention Working Group. So that would fall under, because we've got a member there, that would actually fall under our insurance, and we would be more than happy to back them in that space. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. That closes the debate. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Okay. Council, we have 15.9 come forward, and I'd now like to move a procedural motion that 15.9, lease of the Nango skate rink, be addressed as the next item on the agenda. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jones. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 15.9 is at hand then. We have the recommendation there that, it's as presented there on page 5 of the late agenda. South Burnett Regional Council, 1, in accordance with section 236 1B2. Has everyone got that? Have we got that up on screen, Kimberly? Sorry.
I just don't know if I have an interest. They're just friends of mine, the guys who are looking to lease it.
So Councillor Erkins, when you say they're friends, would you regard them as having a close personal relationship with you? No. Okay. Mr. CEO, your thoughts? No? Okay. No? Comfortable that you're not in business?
No.
You don't transact through your business with them?
I did sell them a house 12 months ago.
That's expired, Mr. CEO. Okay, I think CEO is comfortable, and I think councillors, we're comfortable. Yeah, okay, everyone seems comfortable that we proceed. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. So 1, in accordance with section 236 1B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, enter into a trustee lease with Queensland Blue Light Association Incorporated for part of lot 346 on SP 313160 for a term of 10 years for rental amount of $75 per annum GST exclusive. 2, delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate, finalise and execute the trustee lease between Council and the Queensland Blue Light Association Incorporated on terms and conditions the Chief Executive Officer reasonably considers as satisfactory to Council. 3, notes that the trustee lease may be subject to approval from the Department of Resources in accordance with the Land Act 1994 Queensland. And 4, approves a sublease to Mr Peter Thompson for the purpose of operating a recreational facility for community benefit. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Shoemaker. Speakers, Councillor Jones? No, you're comfortable. Further speakers? Nothing further, Council? Okay, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour, carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr CEO, to you and your staff for the ongoing discussions you've had to bring this report to this Council. Thank you very much. Okay, now we are up to the section 16 of the agenda. 16.1 is capital works, Coolabunga Sale Yards and Cemeteries at 182. Okay, so we've got that here in front of us, and we do have the recommendation from the committee on page 182 at the bottom, where it states that South Bennett Regional Council reallocate $67,777 from Council's capital budget for 22-23 from cemetery projects allocated to the Coolabunga Sale Yards. 2, allocation of $78,223 from Council's capital budget for 22-23 be allocated to Coolabunga Sale Yards. 3, the capital works for the Tobinga Cemetery car park reseal, Tobinga Cemetery expansion, Prostit expansion and road be deferred to the 23-24 Capital Works program. 4, the Capital Works projects for Coolabunga Sale Yards of full replacement of elevated catwalks from timber to steel, replacement of additional holding yards and replacement tank, and renewal of scales office be considered for 23-24 Capital Works program. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, seconded Councillor Erkins. Speakers, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, it's unfortunate that the Coolabunga Sale Yards is in such a state, and we need to spend so much money on it, but this has been identified as urgent works, and I'm happy to support this, and knowing that the cemetery projects will all go into next year's budget. So keen to have the support of the chamber. Thank you.
Further speakers? No. Happy to close, Councillor Duff. We go to the vote. Those in favour, carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, General Manager, to you and your staff for undertaking that work. Much appreciated. Okay, 17.1, Bunya Mountains workforce shortage. That's at page 184, where the committee has recommended to Council that the South Bennett Regional Council provide a supporting letter to the Honourable David Littleproud, Leader of the Nationals and Shadow Minister for Agriculture, supporting the Bunya Mountains Tavern's request for the postcode to be recognised as an outer regional area. Do we have a mover? Councillor Shoemaker, seconded Councillor Henson. Speakers, Councillor Shoemaker.
This is just such an important advocacy item for our region. The Bunya Mountains is a growing tourism destination. It's a wonderful place for our community to be able to gather. And the reality is that the business operators in that area are really struggling for staff. It's quite a challenge, as you can imagine, with the weather up there, the way in which fog can set in at night time. If you're working, if you live locally and have to travel up and down that mountain, it's just not realistic. And the reality is that area absolutely should be considered as an outer regional area in terms of being able to attract overseas workers, people on working visas. So I understand in my conversations that the Minister Littleproud has certainly done a lot of work in trying to get the Bunya Mountains postcode recognised as an outer regional area, and his advice to us is to help him put together a business case that would enable to put a strong foot forward for the Bunya Mountains community and try once again to be recognised as an outer regional area so we can access that workforce. I'm very passionate about seeing this be acted on as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers? No. Happy to go to the vote? Ready to go to the vote? Yes, okay. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Sorry. Okay. 17.2, reconfiguring a lot, Bowman Road, Blackbutt North. It's at 185 on the agenda, Council. Now, this has been through committee meeting and the recommendation has come forward, and we've got two resolutions there, Mr. CEO. Deal with them separately. So resolution 1 first, Mr. CEO. Thank you. Okay. So resolution 1 is that in line with the Livability Governance and Finance Standing Committee's resolution 2022/27, the application be approved subject to the council developing suitable conditions and adopted infrastructure charges notice. The reasons for council's consideration of this approval are 1, having regards to the submissions and considering part of the common material presented in the report that there is merit in the proposal to address a need for lifestyle-related rural lots in Blackbutt. 2, it is a relevant matter that there is a community need and promotion of community wellbeing through the development of lifestyle blocks for the Blackbutt area. 3, having regards to the common material. 5, properly made submissions were in the positive, and note of property centre and Main Street Realty submissions note the demand for property, particularly given the issues associated with the lack of residential accommodation within Blackbutt and the South Burnett Regional Council area. 4, the approval is adjacent to residential and would not fragment the area to any greater degree and support the density as proposed by the neighbouring properties. That is, the development would be consistent with the neighbouring properties. 5, we have a housing crisis in our region and demand for land is at a premium. And 6, there is a strong community support for this development. So, Council, do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Erkins. Speakers, Councillor Jones. Thank you, Councillor Jones. Further speakers? Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I support this, although it was against the officer's recommendation, but I think all the reasons have been outlined, but particularly that we have a housing crisis, and a lot of the land that was has been identified that is able to be developed is not being developed, but this is an opportunity to actually get some someone who is fair dinkum about doing development, and also the submissions that came forward, the 5 of them were all in favour of it, not against it. So I'm absolutely supportive of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Further speakers? Okay. Anything to close, Councillor Jones? You comfortable if we go to the vote? Okay. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Council, the second proposed resolution here is that South Burnett Regional Council approve the configuring a lot development permit, 1 lot into 3 lots at 163 Bowman Road, Blackbutt North, and described as Lot 94 on RP 891602. Applicant F&J Green, care of O&F Surveyors, subject to the following conditions. Council will take those conditions as presented because they are stated on the agenda on pages 186, 187, 188, 189 and 190. Do we have a mover? Sorry, Councillor Shoemaker.
Mr. Mayor,
My
absolutely
apologies.
comfortable with moving. However, I've just got a question in relation to one of those conditions. So would you like to, that
Yes.
could need amending? So
Yes. Mr. CEO, can we take a question before a motion's moved? Yep. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Just so on page 189, ADV 5 states there that the development's not eligible for the development incentive scheme. And I guess the question to General Manager O'May, I understand it's possibly because the lot of land is recognised as a rural lot of land, and we weren't necessarily encouraging rural land because of the state planning policy to be subdivided. But it's also my understanding, as per the development incentive scheme, that we can offer a 75% discount for reconfiguring of a lot for residential development. And I'm kind of thinking this provision, whilst it might be grey, but could be adopted to reflect that in the intent of the development incentive scheme.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so that's correct. So we, with the development incentive scheme, we did have in there a provision 75% discount for reconfiguration for residential development, and I suppose in development of that, it was considered that we wouldn't be doing residential development in rural zoned land because that's essentially what we try not to do. We want to protect the rural land for rural purposes. So. The development incentive scheme wasn't clear because it just talks about reconfiguration lot for residential development, not contemplating that council would approve residential, and essentially these are residential, but they are small rules. They're going to be used for residential use. So the development incentive scheme is depending on which way you're at it. The intention wasn't to offer it in there. We did signal out the rural residential zones for 100%. Developer incentive scheme discount. So again, trying to incentivise those developments, but it was probably just oversight. We didn't exclude the rural zone probably because we weren't contemplating that there would be residential development in there, and we weren't probably trying to encourage it. So it is one that if council was of a mind to provide and so that's why we were trying to be clear in that it's an advice condition. So because it relates to the policy of council, but if council was of a mind to provide the development incentive to this development, it would be good to have that clarified as part of the deliberations.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification. So, Mr. Mayor, I certainly would like to move the motion, but I would like to amend ADV 5 to say this development is an eligible development for the purposes of the current development incentive scheme, noting that the purpose of those 3 lots is for rural residential living, and so I do feel it does meet the needs of the development incentive scheme in that regard.
In terms of there, Mr. CEO, so General Manager May, this development's outside the scope. Do we actually, rather than making reference to the scheme as such, do we need to that actually to be worded differently? Yeah, if we say the development is an eligible development, can we make that here with that resolution here?
Yeah, I suppose, Mayor, without double checking, but my simple mind would say just drop the word not out. Rather than
You're
putting
comfortable with that?
anything
Okay.
else to it.
Yeah, and General Manager May, is this going to then end up as a rural res or a res? Because rural res, I believe, is 100% and res is 75. Is that correct?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so this one would attract the 75% discount as reconfiguration for residential development. The development scheme talks about the rural residential zone. The 100% is in there, so it's actually defined area zone. So it would be the 75% discount, which would be applied.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to Councillor Shoemaker to move the alternative motion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the motion with the amendment that enables the developer to attract that 75% discount for reconfiguring of a lot for residential development, being that is the intent and purpose of the development.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. So, councillors, what is moved here is as presented, with the change being to ADV 5 on page 189. The word not will be removed to say that the development is an eligible development for the purposes of the development incentive scheme. Okay, do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Shoemaker, to speak to the motion? No, nothing further. Further speakers? Councillor Jones.
Yeah, just fully supportive. Just for my own benefit, GM, through you, Mayor, is have there been any other issues like this come through that we may have not given this discount to, or is this the first one that's come through like this?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. No, so this is the first one that I'm aware of. You have seen some more boundary realignments in the rural area where they're creating 2 lots into 2, so infrastructure charges don't necessarily trigger. So yeah, this one is the first one. That would be aware of.
Further speakers before we go to Councillor Shoemaker to close? No? Okay, Councillor Shoemaker to close. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just further to the comment, certainly reconfiguration of a lot, I think the development incentive scheme has definitely encouraged more of those applications, which is opening up land and infilling development, which I guess is what we want to see more developments where we can use existing infrastructure to support those outcomes. So I'm fully supportive of this. There'll be no immediate impacts to the community, and I think it's a great opportunity for the Blackbutt community in the South Burnett to grow its population by potentially 3 more dwellings. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm fully supportive.
Thank you, councillor. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. CEO, to you and your planning team for the work undertaken on that matter. Let's now move on, council, through 18, 19, through to 20, confidential section, where we have one item, item 20.1, where the recommendation is that council considers the confidential report listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012, item 20.1, Kingaroy Transformation Project final costs. The matter is considered to be confidential under sections 254J-E and G of the Local Government Regulation, as stated on page 220 of the agenda. Do we have a mover? Yes, Councillor Henson, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Potter. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Council will now move into closed session. Vote closed into open council. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Henson, thank you. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. So, council, we have item 20.1, whereby the recommendation is South Burnett Regional Council note the impact to the Kingaroy Transformation Project by the 5th declared disaster event and record CPI and construction inflation over the project ranging between 12 to 25.7%. 2, note the expected total increase in the construction budget of between 7% and 8.3%, inclusive of the April 2022 increase. And 3, adopt the revised final scope with an additional 80,000 to 260,000 at the fourth quarter review by advancing funded depreciation as required from the 23-24 budget. Do we have a mover? Councillor Jones, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Potter. Any speakers? Quickly. Councillor Shoemaker, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is certainly a decision that I don't make lightly, and to be honest, I still haven't made it. This was a really ambitious project that we kicked off, which we all identified had big risks, but the reality was it delivered even bigger and better outcomes. Certainly challenged it from the very beginning in regards to being able to deliver the scope with the budget that we had. And I know that there has been an enormous amount of effort, and I certainly would like to recognise the effort that has gone in to controlling the costs in a very uncontrolled environment where we've had continued weather events, we've had increases, astronomical increases in CPI, and challenges with construction and material pressures. I'm grateful that we have this knowledge now and not at the last hour, and I'm very mindful that it could have been much worse. I'm also mindful that every project that council has undertaken in the past year has experienced significant cost increases. I think it's regretful that the budget has to be increased again. I'd rather, however, know about it now than be surprised by it later. I think, as we've discussed here today, there are key learnings that we have to take forward in regards to any project that council undertakes when it comes to scoping, planning, and providing a budget. I think it's amazing that we've managed the cost escalations to the degree that we have. When you read there that inflation over the project has ranged between 12 to 25.7%, and that our increase to the construction budget is anticipated between 7 and 8%, I think it is a real tribute to the staff that they have found efficiencies wherever possible. I'd also like to acknowledge that we have had our own people who have turned up in their own time to undertake work on the project and to see it completed, and I think that demonstrates the genuine commitment to achieving the vision that was laid out. I think this is a very difficult decision for council to make. but I'm also very mindful that there really is no alternative. If we pull up now, we won't deliver on a project that that we're all very committed to seeing completed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Any further speakers before we go to the vote? Councillor Erkins.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, like Councillor Shoemaker, I'm not really 100% on how I'm going to vote on it. I know that most people will know that I have been in the past critical of some of the money spent on this project. However, I do think that it is, when you go for a drive down and have a look what has been achieved, it is really great. And I do know the increase in prices. Everyone knows how prices are escalating so quickly. I also appreciate General Manager Meehan coming in and giving us some options of how they have cut down some of the project to try and fit within the budget without taking away from the project, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate the work that's gone in, and I just endorse the comments made by Councillor Shoemaker.
Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't be supporting the additional allocation. I've been consistent the whole way through. I voted for the original 4.5 million to match the 4.5 million that we got in funding, and then there's been more and more requests come to council to increase the budget, and I remember vividly the General Manager and others saying that this would be delivered now on time and on budget, that there wouldn't be any more requests. And there's always contingency money in these scopes and things like that. And the whole way I've been saying we need to cut this back, because if this was our business, we'd have to cut back. We can't just keep spending and spending. And there has been floods and all sorts of things, but businesses have to deal with that too. This is ratepayers' money. It's not. At the end of the day, the people who pay for this are the ratepayers. So out of support for the community, and I get pushback all the time about how much money is being spent on the KTP when we've got people that are struggling to make ends meet, and some people not even able to get a roof over their heads. So I just think that to be consistent and to back up my my community, I'm going to vote against this, so thank you.
Okay, any further speakers? Councillor Jones, anything to wrap up? No, nothing. Okay, let's go to the vote. Sorry?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose a procedural motion that the matter lay on the table until the final scope can actually be reviewed by councillors.
I'm going to seek a seconder for the procedural motion. Councillor Erkins. We will now, Mr. CEO, go to the vote on the procedural motion. Those in favour? Councillor Shoemaker and Councillor Erkins. Okay. Those against? Councillor Duff, Jones, Potter and Henson and Otto. Motion has been defeated 5 votes to 2. We'll now proceed with going to the vote on the motion. Okay, so those in favour? Okay. Councillor Jones, Councillor Potter, Councillor Henson. Those against? Councillor Shoemaker, Erkins, Duff and Otto. The motion has been defeated 4 votes to 3. Mr. CEO, that now concludes the day's business, and we'll call the meeting to a close at 2:05 p.m. Thank you all for your attendance. Have a good rest of day.